The show is about to begin.
Presented by FYF Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon. Joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. Our friend Coop with us, aka Coop A. Fiasco.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my wildly handsome co-host, John Luke Garofalo. What's up, JL?
What up? Good morning.
I thought it was so funny the other day whenever Jay was like, guess I'm the finger guns guy. And you're sitting there and you're like, I've been doing finger guns every day since this show started.
That isn't the classic JL situation, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, but I feel like last year was just every player that you were in on, somebody else, whether like it was either me
Just
saying it to Josh,
co-opted.
Josh saying it to me, Joey saying it to Jay, Jay saying it to Josh. They'd be like, oh, you were really in on this player. And you would just be sitting there like, hey, guys.
Yeah, great job.
Hey, guys.
3 months after I was.
Tommy in here saying, yo, good morning, let's go. He mixes up the rhyme every day, Jay. Did you know he was pursuing a career in rap?
I had no idea, but I'm very proud of him.
With Jay-Z stepping into this role with Jeff Bezos trying to acquire the Washington Commanders, someone has to fill Jay-Z's shoes. He's not going to have time for the rap game as much. And I think Tommy's trying to step into that role.
He's trying to fill in the vacuum left by Hove in the rap game.
Yeah, he is trying to fill in that vacuum. You think he can do it?
I think he could get close.
And Mama Grunewald in the chat going, yo, what's up? What's up, Mom? Welcome.
What up,
Glad
Mama
to have you
Grunewald?
here. And Craig said midsection of the morning to you. Well, happy torso to the morning to you as well, Craig.
Midsection of the morning to you.
What does that mean? Oh, because we said top of the
I
morning?
have no idea.
So it's midsection of the morning? I like bottom of the morning.
Oh, midsection of the morning.
Do you say top of the
Especially
morning
in the
because
morning.
it's like very early? It is the top of the morning. Is that what that means? Is that where that comes from?
Actually, it comes from a phrase. It actually comes out of France. There was a guy who, every
Top of the
morning
morning
he'd walk
to
up
you.
to the
You know,
top
like
of the.
the classic
top of the
Irish phrase
Eiffel
comes from France.
Comes from France, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, most people don't know that. Yeah, guy would climb the top of the Eiffel Tower every morning, say "Good morning, France." He'd say it in American too. It's amazing.
That's incredible.
The American language, of course.
Yeah, the American language, French, of course, before the founding
Yes.
before even the discovery of the Americas, it sounds like. Man, you learn something new every single day. History lessons with FYF on this whatever day it is morning.
FYF.
JL,
Happy morning.
happy morning to you. And we got Maria in the chat saying good day. What's up, Maria? It is that time, JL. I hope you brought some breakfast because we got everything else. We got news stories, but it is time for BYOB.
Ooh.
Woo! Did you bring something to the table for us?
Oh, I got plenty of goodies for you, Simon. One of them being Kenny G practiced yesterday. This one comes from Ari Miroff. Says Kenny Galladay practiced today for the first time since week 4. Head coach Brian Daboll expects him to be ready for Sunday's game versus the Texans. Is this surprising to you, Simon?
Maybe. I mean, it'll surprise me if he actually starts and does something relevant. We haven't seen him do that for the New York Giants at all. Like he's been a non-factor for the New York Giants since he went there. It seemed like an absolute failure of a trade for them, right? Or acquisition to get Kenny Galladay on that team. I guess I'm surprised that he's activated and they're like hyping him up, but I got to see what he can do in this offense. Is he actually going to produce something?
Right. It's interesting to see the turnaround now. Like, what's changed? Is it that he's healthy enough to be ready to play?
That's got to be it, right?
Could be. I don't know. It seemed more like a cultural thing earlier on in the season that Brian Daboll was just not on the same page as Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see.
We'll see. But Kenny Galladay hasn't been on the same page with the other coaching staffs here as well, right? This is an ongoing problem. It looks like maybe this time it's health related, but we'll see. We'll see if that can happen.
Yeah. Does this change how you're viewing Wan'Dale Robinson at all?
Maybe this is naive, but no. Like I haven't seen Kenny Galladay impact the other receivers on this offense whenever he's been healthy and active. So I'm not going to let it impact Wan'Dale, who I think has shown promise. Like what's impacting Wan'Dale is maybe the involvement of Darius Slayton in the last game we saw the Giants play. I don't think it's necessarily just a safe assumption that Wan'Dale Robinson is definitely the one rest of season, like I initially thought. Right. It could be more spread around. It could be a 1A, 1B scenario with Darius Slayton. Kenny G, maybe I'll be wrong here, and that's fine. But I'm not going to put any eggs in that basket. We haven't seen it yet. And he's been healthy and active for this team before.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. So you talked about Jeffrey Bezos and Hove cementing that partnership. There was a news that came out of TMZ that they met for dinner in LA, had dinner for more than 2 hours, reportedly cementing that relationship to purchase the Washington Commanders. What do you think about that, Simon?
Yeah, that sounds pretty serious, right? 2 hours of dinner. They're not messing around anymore. Like
just a couple of billionaires.
It was all fun and games. Like people were like, oh, wouldn't that be crazy if Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z bought the team together? But if they're meeting up and having a meal to talk about it, and for 2 hours, like that's a long time to talk to somebody. They're making stuff happen. That'd be pretty cool. That would be a pretty cool ownership pair in the NFL. Honestly, Jay-Z would be cool as an owner, and Jeff Bezos would be there.
Yeah. And then they throw Matthew McConaughey into the mix, and it's just Jeff Bezos surrounding himself with cool people.
Yeah. Yeah, just sitting back like, look at what I've done. Look at the friend group I have always wanted.
I am cool like them.
Jeff Bezos is finally like sitting there and he's like, I can finally sit at the cool kids table. After all these years, I'll be sitting with the cool kids.
Greg in here saying if those two are stuck in cement with each other, it is deadly serious. That could kill them.
Did it say they were stuck in cement?
No, it said that it did say that they were stuck in cement. You know what? It did. It did say that. Good job, Greg.
Craig killed it. Absolutely nailed it. Joe, I did see yesterday that Ezekiel Elliott is expected to play this week against the Packers game. Jerry Jones saying on the radio, like Jerry Jones likes to do, he's the one giving the medical updates, said it's anticipated that he'll be ready to go.
Oh, Jerry Jones, Mr. Optimistic. Does he go on this radio show every single week?
I'm guessing so. I'm guessing this is a recurring segment for Jerry Jones, but I don't tune into Jerry Jones radio segments.
Yeah, me neither. What do you think this does for Tony Pollard?
Yeah, me neither. Neither do I.
Neither. I don't tune in for Jerry Jones radio segments either.
Now this, it's the same situation as before. If Zeke is coming back from an injury, is likely limited. Tony Pollard maybe sees a larger share of the pie, but I still think when Zeke's fully healthy, he's the lead back here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they'll likely split. If we see Ezekiel Elliott continuing to deal with this lingering issues, then we might see Tony Pollard become more relevant later on in the season.
I mean, he should, right? From everything we've seen this year, I finally changed my tune this year. Like I understand the reasons, like there's reasons Zeke has such a big workload. And a lot of it comes down to his blocking ability, right? They believe he's a superior blocker, but you watch Tony Pollard out there and it's just been like watching a better running back. Like Tony Pollard has just looked like the better back. The offense has looked better when he's been getting carries. And I've been resistant to that. People have been calling for that for years. And I'm on that page now. That being said, Zeke's still a great fantasy running back.
Yeah, it is. I've been on your side of this train, Simon, up until now. I've been on the Zeke side. Tony Pollard has looked good. I still don't. Maybe I fall closer in line with Jerry Jones in that I still think Zeke has value. He still has like value to give for fantasy. After this season, I'm a little less optimistic. Starting to feel like it is. His career is definitely going to be slowing down. So I think this is. We got 2 years left on his contract.
there were plenty of teams that Zeke would still be like clearing away the number one running back, but he's got Tony Pollard behind him. Like Tony Pollard would be the lead back on plenty of teams in the NFL as well. He's just sitting here behind Zeke on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and he hasn't looked fantastic. He hasn't looked like the way that he looked in previous years this season. That's been I think a big reason why we've still seen the split is that a lot of their issues I think stem from that offensive line.
Absolutely. We're used to seeing a pretty good offensive line down there. JL.
Yeah.
I know we're talking football right now, but I had to bring something up that I rediscovered yesterday. It was a story that I saw probably about a month ago, but it came back up yesterday with some updates and just the sheer ridiculousness of it. Have you kept up to date at all on the big cheating scandal in the chess world?
I've heard whispers of it, but I haven't. Okay. There was something about butt plugs.
So the number one chess player in the world lost to like this up and coming kid. Like I think he was 19 years old. And this kid had been admitted to cheating in online chess tournaments previously, but said he hasn't cheated since. So he lost. And this chess player did not say, he forfeited from the tournament after that, but did not directly come out and say like this kid cheated. In the next tournament, when they went up against each other, he resigned on the second move. So the other guy made a move. He resigned immediately. There were like all sorts of cheating experts that looked at it. They couldn't find ways that he had cheated, but the number one chess player in the world seems adamant that he has. So a conspiracy theory started floating around that the reason the cheating was undetectable was because the kid was wearing anal beads that had a like Bluetooth connection to them, and someone was sending him like the square from a chess engine, like where to make his next move through vibrations in the anal beads, like sending him signals. And then it was just a wild conspiracy theory, but it picked up steam in the chess community and people started running with it like that was the actual story. Like this 19-year-old cheated with anal beads against the world's best chess player.
But it wasn't true?
Well, no one knows for sure whether it was true or not. It's a conspiracy theory.
I thought he was caught.
No, there is not.
But I also only read the headline, so.
It's a conspiracy theory at its finest that he was cheating with anal beads. Like it's not. There's no confirmation. The only proof is it really seems like he cheated, but they can't figure out how. So the only solution that people have been able to come up with that made sense was anal beads. Like where else would we be hiding?
And that's all roads lead to anal beads.
But then it led me down this right. Always, if the story doesn't have if you can't figure it out, if you're looking at something you can't quite figure out what's wrong, it's probably anal beads. That's probably what's doing anal beads. Squirrel Bob said that's dedication, and Getting the Game said that is some crazy hardcore stuff. Yeah, and it led me down this rabbit hole of like, is that like a problem in the chess community, cheating? And apparently it very much so is. And there was like a record of somebody cheating where they had their co-conspirator. They set up different locations in the room where they were playing chess for their co-conspirator to stand that told them where to move their next piece. So they had memorized like a bunch of different locations in the room that could mean different things. And the guy would just like move around the room slowly each time to tell them where to move the pieces.
And so like no one noticed this guy just weirdly lurking around the room.
I mean, think about being at like an event where you're watching something, right? There's a lot of people in this room, like 100 or so people. Maybe he's just trying to get a better view. Like you're not going to notice one guy like just moving around, right?
That's a good point. Joey said, nothing like clicking on the show with a cup of coffee and my daughter sitting next to me and hearing anal beads at full iPhone volume.
Good morning. Good morning, Joey. Welcome in.
Good morning, Eliza. Good morning, Tristan.
Welcome in. Yeah, maybe that's the end of that conversation. I just had to bring it up.
Yeah. That is actually crazy though. And my mind is blown right now, Simon, because I fell into the trap. I just fully believe the headline, like without looking into it at all, because it wasn't something that like I probably ever have to speak on. I didn't like go and verify it. So it's just like, yep, there's a chess guy who cheated with anal beads.
100% true.
100% true. No.
Verified fact.
Joey said nothing her mother hasn't said before. Oh,
Joey, time out. Time out for Joey
Bonk.
At 6:14 a.m. That was early, Joey. You didn't make it very far today.
If his phone's still at full volume, then his daughter just heard his own joke, which makes it his fault.
You're right.
Simon, this is a crazy stat I saw from Brett Coleman on Twitter. This is receivers covered by Sauce this year. Amari Cooper, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Stephon Diggs, and Gabe Davis. Pretty good list, right?
Pretty good list. That's a pretty impressive list.
Total catches versus man coverage, 4 for 28 yards.
Absurd. Absolute absurdity. Sauce is living up to his name.
Is he going to get Defensive Rookie of the Year, you think?
He's got to be, right?
Right,
I would be shocked if he wasn't the front runner. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to go do. I was like, he's got to be the front runner at this point. I can't imagine anyone else is ahead of him.
That would be surprising if it was. 4 catches, 28 yards against man coverage. That's insane. That is truly insane.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, yeah. Sauce Gardner is the favorite at -120. So it's
who's the next?
Tariq Woolen at +210. And then nobody else is even close. Aiden Hutchinson at +1400.
Wow. He's going to win.
Man, who do you think is the favorite for offensive Rookie of the Year?
Ooh, that's a good question. Brees that way. Ooh, I don't know. Who is it? I can't think of a single rookie right now.
Kenneth Walker at -1.
The only person I could think of was Garrett Wilson because he's on the same team as Sauce Gardner.
Garrett Wilson.
Zach Wilson, not a rookie. Okay.
Garrett Wilson's at +2,000, but Kenneth Walker at -135, Damian Pierce at +220, and Chris Olave at +750. Those are the front runners.
Olave.
So he's third with not great odds, but decent odds. Damian Pierce and Kenneth Walker by far the most likely, with Kenneth Walker leading the charge. Man, we've had some pretty solid rookie performances this year. Yeah, that's impressive watching Sauce out there on the field.
Yeah, that is insane. That's an insane stat.
Absolutely absurd. Did you see what Mike Tomlin had to say yesterday at the press conference when he was asked about how the passing game changed without Chase Claypool?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. Let's move on then. Yeah, and did you see Jim Harbaugh said that Gus Edwards was going to be back next week?
Oh, wow. He's just going through all my stories.
We'll be back. We'll come back to that one, Jay.
What did Mike Tomlin say about Claypool?
Mike Tomlin said that he doesn't know if it changes the passing game at all. So that Pat Fryermuth's skill set, in effect, is redundant to what Claypool was doing. He will be the target in the middle of the field. So basically saying, like, that's what fantasy managers have been saying, right? Like, I've seen fantasy analysts out there saying, well, Pat Fryermuth will be the biggest beneficiary now that Chase Claypool's gone. They play a similar role. And Mike Tomlin just came out saying, like, yeah, they do the same thing. It's just going to Pat.
Yep. I'm Mike Tomlin.
Also, Craig and you're saying covered by Sauce on the field and covered in Sauce on the field is a very important distinction.
It is. What kind of sauce would you be covered on, Simon?
Would I want to be covered in, or would I be covered in?
Would you be covered in?
I would probably be covered in sodium-free soy sauce out on the field, I think.
Wow. Sodium-free, that's pretty surprising.
Well, there's enough salt in me already, so I figured we'd go with the sodium-free option. It would be
nice.
And it's not my favorite sauce. I just feel like that's what I would be covered in on accident. I'd be walking through the tunnel and all of a sudden, a giant bucket of sodium-free soy sauce.
Soy sauce spill.
No!
Not again.
Oh, God. Jill, that reminded me of it wasn't a soy sauce spill, but earlier this week, there was a spill of chicken offal on a Kentucky highway, on Highway 62 in Kentucky. Do you know what chicken offal is? It's like, another name for it is mixed meat parts. It's all just like the organs and stuff. And it spilled all over the highway. Like a truck spilled it. And so people they closed a portion of the road and warned of a slick, smelly chicken offal spill that people needed to avoid.
You know what? Good. Let them clean up their own mess. That's disgusting. Truly disgusting.
They said in a Facebook post, the Calvert City Fire Department said to avoid the smell and getting chicken waste on your vehicle, you should avoid this area. That's disgusting that like a city has to put that out.
Chicken waste on your vehicle. Oh my God. That is disgusting. Next
Gross.
topic.
Sounds like I'm vegetarian. Don't talk about chicken liver.
It's making my stomach hurt. Yeah, Pat Fryermuth, Claypool gone. Pat Fryermuth. That's like the nicest way for Mike Tomlin to say that Chase Claypool is irrelevant.
It
It's
is.
like, yeah, skill set's redundant, so we had to get rid of him.
I mean, what's he supposed to say though? Like, man, yeah, we
Guys,
suck now.
But
Like everything changes now that the third target on our team is gone. Like, no, he's gonna say we got plenty of receiving talent, and that's what the Steelers have been known for, right? They develop receiving talent, maybe not the tight end position, but they've always had plenty of receivers.
I feel like just looking at this from a business perspective, they could really just print receivers, right? They're so good at picking receivers. They could just like do what they're doing with Claypool, which is by the time they get them to a second contract where they have to sign him to a second contract, just manufacture picks, right? Ship them off, get new young guy, rinse and repeat.
I mean, it works. They continuously draft successful receivers. Sure, they've had their misses, like James Washington.
Right? Ray McLeod.
We're just shots fired at James Washington. First thing
we
in the morning.
both
We're not even
immediately
talking
went
about
to
him.
James Washington.
The Steelers have had some bad picks at wide receiver. James,
We're looking
we
at
know.
you.
If you're listening out there,
You know what you did or didn't
sucked.
do in this case.
But then there's other ones, like even some of the other misses, like Martavius Bryant, wasn't really a miss on talent. Know what I mean? Like whenever he played for the Steelers, he was fantastic.
He was.
He just couldn't play for the Steelers. He couldn't stay on the field.
Right.
You're right, Jay. I mean, I think that's what they kind of have been doing, right?
Yeah, it is kind of what they have been doing. So it's not like I've come up with this super smart strategy for them. I'm just looking at what they did. I'm like, you know what they should do?
Hey, Joe,
be a good strategy.
no idea is unique in the entire world. So that doesn't take
That's
away
true.
from the validity or greatness of your idea here.
Thank you, Simon.
And if you're listening here and you think your idea is unique, it's not. There's so many people in the world. So
You're
get
not
over
special.
yourself.
If you think you're special, allow us to tell you you're not.
Reality check. There's 7 billion people in this world.
And they
your
all have
idea's
thoughts and
probably been
feelings
had
just like
before.
you. Yeah.
Isn't that weird to think about sometimes? Like sometimes I'm driving through the middle of nowhere and I drive past like a high school and I'm like, man, I remember like how important the things going on at my high school world were. And this is just that. And then there's thousands of these across the country. Like what I thought was the most important ecosystem exists independently without my knowledge all over this country, the world.
Yeah. Every day. Well, I'm pretty sure that I'm the only real person. Everyone else is a simulation. So it doesn't really bother me too much.
Man, I think we might be having a rough day, Jail, because we got rather existential pretty early in the morning.
Very quickly.
Usually like the existential
7:23,
dread
like,
about your existence doesn't kick in until like at least 10 a.m. is when I start getting hit with that dread of my existence doesn't matter. But we got there pretty early this morning.
Proud of us, Simon. We did it.
We did it. Guys, this is the new tone of the show. Welcome to the existential hour with Simon and JL.
Existential hour. That's such a good name for a show. We got to do that for sure. Welcome back into the existential hour.
I took the class existentialism in college, JL, and I showed up, and on the first day of class, it was 5 minutes long. The professor handed out the syllabus. He said, in this class, you'll learn that time isn't real. Nothing matters. Have a good rest of your day. I'll see you on Thursday. And that was the first class of existential.
The syllabus is just like three empty pieces of paper stapled together.
Which is like F this written on the last page.
Yeah, just really tiny print in the center of the last page.
Greg and you said, JL, if this is a simulation, why did you create me to add to yours like 2 years ago? A pretty odd choice.
Listen, man, I have made a lot more odder choices than you, Craig. Have you met Tim?
I have met Tim. Tim is the perfect choice, JL. That's the one that makes the most sense.
That's the one where God just reached perfection.
Also, Tommy said, I think that when I go up in a plane, all those people down there have a junk drawer with all their own junk.
All their own dead batteries.
You know what? But that's kind of like connecting, because everyone's junk drawer is kind of the same. There's probably some dead batteries in there, like you said, JL. There's a bottle opener tucked away in there. maybe a koozie, an old piece of mail. Like we all have that sitting in our junk drawer.
That's like the sweetest, most relatable like thought that Tommy had. Everybody's got their own junk drawer.
Yeah, you could have thought a million things. Like imagine all the people that also fight with their spouses down there. Know what I mean? Like you could have had like a million like nasty thoughts. But instead Tommy's like, someone's sorting through their old batteries, just like I do at home.
I hope they're happy. I'm Tommy. Back to football, maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. Up to you, JL.
Yeah.
When it's up to me, I bring up chicken offal and chest anal beads. So I'll leave the next one up to you.
I'm not much better. The next thing I saw is that Leonard Fournette was pretty bad this weekend. He was extremely frustrated were the words that I saw written on the paper. He was extremely frustrated at being replaced. Rachaad White could be seen trying to calm him down during the game, console him, being like, yo, we need you. That's kind of wild.
Okay, but like Rachaad White, I understand your intentions, man. But if you're the one stealing a dude's job, you're not the one who comforts him, okay? Like, know your role here and know that that's going to come off as, like, condescending and rude. I know that wasn't his intention. Like, he genuinely probably meant it. Yeah, but, like, that's when you just stay quiet, do your job. Do a good job. Show Leonard Fournette, like, this is why they made the decision. Hey, man, not my choice. I'm just going to go out here and I'm going to do my best. Don't go up to Leonard Fournette and be like, hey, man, I know I took your job, but, like, I swear we really do still need you. Like without you, we can't win. Like,
which means absolutely nothing because he has absolutely no control over whether they need him or not.
Like that's so rude, right? Like not intentionally rude, but like, come on, man. You have to know
well-meaning rudeness. Because you're right. I would be pretty annoyed if Rachaad White was stealing my job and then coming up to me and being like, "Dude, come on, trust." Just gaslighting me, telling me like I got. No, man, it's totally cool.
Like imagine you're like trying out for goalie for your high school soccer team. You want to be keeper. You've been working hard nonstop. You've had the job for the last 3 years.
Why do we have to switch sports to understand the situation?
Because, Jail, an analogy is an analogy.
Okay? All right, you're right.
I just really thought this was going to be more relatable for you since you played baseball your whole life. Yeah, the baseball connection is what gets it here. And then this freshman comes in, very similar to what, I don't know, you could call a rookie in the NFL, and tries out for the same job, and then comes up to you afterwards and consoles you. Yeah, that was the worst analogy anyone's ever given. It was literally I started down it like, man, I am really saying something here. And then as you said that, Joe, I was like, no, I still got something. And then I got to the end and I was like,
it's like,
huh. So there's
son
no
of a bitch, he was right the whole time.
Besides, I said soccer instead of football. Like that was literally the only reason.
And somehow cast the scene into like a pseudo high school scenario.
Tommy said, go back to beads and chicken parts.
Go back to anal beads and chicken parts. Ew.
And Craig said, rumor is that is how Coop talked to Joey when the morning show started. How did he talk to Joey, JL?
I don't. Oh, he talked to Joey like this. Well, you stupid, Joey.
Oh, just like that.
Yeah.
We had a question come in here, JL, from Bronson. Bronson wanted to know, should I trade Ezekiel Elliott and Darren Waller for Amon-Ra St. Brown? Are you making that move?
Yeah, I'm absolutely making that move.
You're not worried about giving up Ezekiel Elliott, a running back, in this economy?
In this economy, I'm not that worried. This is making the assumption that you have somebody to fill in for Zeke, because that's the important part here. And I guess Darren Waller, although that shouldn't be too hard. If you can manage the depth at the running back position, giving up Zeke, I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, just value-wise, is the better side of this deal.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. The value's there. You just got to make sure you got another back to plug in for Zeke, because going through my my waiver wire yesterday, JL, I've got teams where I would be on my knees, like praising whatever deity made it happen if Zeke was my RB2. There are some teams that have been hit hard by injuries with some bare waiver wires.
And typically you're a light running back drafter anyway.
Yeah, like where I'm looking at it, and my top choice for my next back is Jaylen Warren as the next back that I'll get to plug in. It's not looking pretty.
Eesh. Yeah. Craig in here saying, got to know your league and scoring.
And prior to
answer
that, he did say, I'm not doing that trade if it is a -2 point per reception for players with Amon in their name.
That makes way more sense with the now that you read the comment before that. So happens when Coop is gone. Simon and I can't think.
We just don't read the comments in order. You know what? I've talked about anal beads and I've talked about chicken parts, and now I'm going to bring up another very important topic. There's a book, JL, where every single page is printed out of order, and it's like a puzzle.
You told me this.
It's like a murder mystery puzzle book.
Did you say this on stream?
I don't think so.
We talked so much.
I just found out about this like yesterday.
No, you told me about this a while ago. Yes,
maybe someone else told you
last week. Maybe the same person told us. Go ahead.
But the book is completely out of order. Every page is out of order, and there's like a mystery. And at the end of it, there's a questionnaire with like a bunch of these different things that you need to figure out. And you have to be able to put all of the pages in order. And then if you get it right, there's some sort of prize. I forget what the prize is, but only like there's like a very limited number of people that have ever done it, or no one has ever solved it. Something crazy along those lines. But it's a multi-100-page book that has a mystery element where every page is printed out of order and you have to put it back together.
Right. That's pretty great.
Would you go for it? Do you think you would attempt to solve that? I
probably would attempt to. Yeah, my attention span probably wouldn't let me finish it if it was really that annoying. But if I got into it, I'm into not jigsaw puzzles, but just like puzzles in general, riddles, that sort of stuff.
Here's when I think I would like. That sounds like something that would be fun to me, but it's just not practical. The amount of time and effort and like memory that's going to require. The 3-month period after I graduated college and before I started my first full-time job, I wish I had known about this. It existed then. I wish I had known about this during that time period, because that would have been perfect. Like, I was not quite so sure what to do with all that time. I was like, for the first time since I was 5 years old, I have nothing to do. You know what I mean? Like, since I was 5, I've been going to school or getting ready for school, or there's homework, or I've got a job. And now I had nothing. I would have loved to solve that puzzle book then. Instead, I saw like Solo in theaters 17 times on MoviePass.
Solo? What is Solo?
The Han Solo movie.
Oh,
it was like the old movie playing in theaters for the month that I had MoviePass.
Nice. And other news, I saw Raiders. I don't know what that story had to do with anything, so I'm just gonna shift here.
It had to do with the thing we were talking about previously. Oh, you read the comments out of order.
Oh, yeah. That's true. All right, Raiders releasing Jonathan Abrams, former first-round pick, safety on that team. Apparently, according to Rappaport, Las Vegas tried to shop him at the trade deadline, but found no takers. So he's going to the waivers. What is this? I know Tommy in the chat's probably upset, lost their former first-round pick. What's your take on this trade, Simon?
I mean, at least it's not the first one, right? Like, Tommy at least had a little warm-up with Alex Leatherwood no longer being on the team. He's over on the Chicago Bears. Like, they're just letting first-round picks walk all over the place.
Right.
I think it's been a pretty poor drafting team over the last couple of years. It happens, though. There's also the sunk cost fallacy, right? Like, just because you invested that doesn't mean you have to keep on holding on to it. And I think the Raiders are doing a pretty good job of that. Like, at least they're recognizing this. Yeah, at least they're recognizing this wasn't a great pick, and let's not just hold on to it just to hold on to it.
Man, the Leatherwood pick was brutally bad. Yeah, I think that Gruden and that whole front office while he was head coach is just terrible. I honestly don't think they're competent enough to, because they made just so many bad picks year after year.
And Tommy in here saying, Squirrel Bob asked who is the worst drafting team, and Tommy, a Raiders fan, said horrible. Raiders hands down the worst. Always have been. They go raw talent all the time, trying to be too smart.
That's what it feels like every time, is they just get way too cute with it. And instead of just going like the best player available, or like someone who's like conventionally on the board as a, someone like the best prospect on the board, they're like, nope, let's go with this 3rd-round talent because we are going to somehow unlock this, Konami code here.
I mean, it keeps happening, right? Like, I think back to when they drafted Cleveland Farrell, 4th overall out of Clemson. Like, it's not that Cleveland Farrell was a bad prospect, just nobody had him projected as a top 5 pick. He was not the 4th overall pick, and lo and behold, I don't think that's worked out super well for them either, right? Is he still on the team?
Also, I don't know if he's still on the team. That's a good question.
He is. He's still on the Raiders. He's still on the Raiders.
Yeah, and what that does is it also sets those players up to fail a lot of times, right? Because like the expectations are incredibly high now, and now they have to deliver on those. So yeah, I think it's just a bad move all around.
They got to get someone else in there. Maybe hire a third-party consultant to take over.
Just go hire Ozzie Newsome somehow.
just
out of
go hire. Just steal Jay-Z at the last second.
Jay-Z can solve any problem.
Yeah, that's my new solution for every struggling NFL team: is get Jay-Z involved.
Why
didn't anyone think of that before? Like, how come Jeff Bezos is the first person to think of that? Actually, you know what? Maybe Jay-Z saw his opportunity. I'm giving too much credit to Jeff Bezos. Maybe Jay-Z saw Jeff Bezos up there and was like, I got to get in on this.
I think Jay-Z has been trying to buy a NFL team for a while, or at least like as a collective.
That makes sense. So it was probably a joint effort. They probably called each other at the same time, and it didn't ring at all. And they were like, that's so weird. I was trying to call you.
Yeah, Cleveland Farrell and then Josh Jacobs, only guys left, Tommy said, from like the last 5 drafts. And then they didn't pick up Josh Jacobs' 5th-year option, right?
I don't remember. I'd have to look that up.
I don't think they did. I think that was like the big reason why everyone was fading him this year, is that they didn't think that he was going to get used.
They did not, Tommy said. They did not. And he said last time they were good was when they drafted Carr and Khalil Mack in the same round. Yeah, that's a pretty good draft. You're pretty happy with that.
Mr. Scamper's in here. Good morning, Mr. Scampers. You're up early. Yeah. So Raiders just go hire Blossom. Raiders just go hire Blossom. Would you hire Blossom?
Who's Blossom?
I have no idea. Raiders
Blossom,
go hire him.
Like the TV show?
Is that
like the Michael Stoyanov TV show? Is that who we're hiring?
That's who we're hiring. Michael Stoyanov.
Yeah, man. Hire him. Give him a shot. Give him a shot.
Bronson in here saying, what other wide receivers are around Amon-Ra's price that I could target? That is a good question. And, later today, it's at the end of the show, so I'm going to bring them up now. But later on today, we're going to be talking through Alex PeakedInHS School's trade value charts, which did come out today. And I'll take a look here where Amon-Ra St. Brown is. He is valued in the tier 3, 47 trade value points. So right around him is Mark Andrews, Kenneth Walker, Joe Mixon, Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Pierce, T. Higgins, Mike Evans. Some solid names there.
Mike Evans would be a good one to go for. I mean, every name you said there. I don't know why. It's just like I'm a moth to a flame whenever you say Mike Evans. Like there were all those good names there, and I avoided all of them. It was like, did someone say Mike Evans?
Did I hear Mike Evans? I thought that Bronson was trading for Amon-Ra St. Brown though.
I believe so.
It confuses me a little bit.
I think what he's saying is like, if I can't get Amon-Ra, what are some other wide receivers in that range I would go for? Got you. Okay. But yeah, checked out PeakedInHS School's trade value charts. Super valuable. Dustin in here said, good morning, all. Good morning, Dustin. Welcome in. What up, Dustin? Welcome in. Dustin shared a sick tool with me the other day, JL.
Oh, ew.
You got to check it out in our Discord if you haven't. Have you seen it? I feel like it is right up your alley because it is like a range of outcomes comparison tool. Instead of just talking about like which player is more likely to score more points, it talks about which players like more, how they're likely to perform over their range of outcomes and compares them directly. And he brought it up because I asked there was a question we got on the show. If I need 20 plus points, who should I play, Isaiah Likely or Taysom Hill? Like that was the question. I thought, that's a really interesting way to ask that question because like, I agree Isaiah Likely is definitely the better play, but is it a smarter move to play Taysom Hill if you need 20 points? Like he didn't get it, but was that still the right move? And Dustin posted that tool and there was like, this tool looks at the range of outcomes for the players. And even though Isaiah Likely's got the higher median score, Taysom Hill is more likely to hit this threshold according to the metrics that we plug in here.
Confirmation bias is a hell of a drug is all I heard.
What? Joe, you talk range of outcomes literally all the time.
I just had to. Simon. I had to pull the rug out.
I'm not even sure what point you were making there. My brain may not be operating. Was I confirmation biasing something?
Yeah, if you came into it with Taysom Hill's the better play, and then Dustin showed you a tool that told you Taysom Hill's the better play.
No, I wasn't sure. I posted it because I thought it was interesting. Like I posted the question in there because I was like, I'm honestly not sure here. Like, this is something that I can see both sides, and Dustin came in with that tool to show it.
That makes sense.
I
want
didn't
to check
even
it out.
say that was correct. I just said what the tool said, John Luke.
I'm just playing. I'm going to check out that tool. Range of outcomes sounds right up my alley, and so do tools. Big tool guy.
Go confirm your biases. Yeah, I know you're a big tool guy.
I'm gonna.
I'm just a big tool, not a big tool guy.
Yeah, I am a big tool. This is Gamer said, just start Taysom Hill every time.
No.
By the way, we kind of buried the lead here. We're now 40 minutes of the show. We didn't even talk about Josh Allen's injury.
Who?
Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo
the best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, best quarterback in the NFL. Old baby face. Although I see a picture here with him with the mustache, and not a big fan. But apparently, Sean McDermott is scheduled to speak today around noon to give some more details on Josh Allen's injury. But the latest we have on it from Rap Sheet is that he said it's an UCL sprain or a tiny tear. Quote. We'll hopefully learn more tomorrow from Sean McDermott, which should be today at noon. It's very interesting. It seems like maybe it's going to be towards the shorter side of recovery timeline here.
Yeah. From what I've been reading, it sounds like something that he can probably play through. Like, maybe they don't rush him out back this week, but even if it's injured, he'll likely play through it. That being said, we've seen quarterbacks play through injury, and it isn't his throwing arm. So I expect it to affect his play. Maybe lower your expectations for Josh Allen a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. That is it. So it's a little alarming. The next couple weeks is something to keep an eye on, and then watch that press conference at noon. I'll be in there.
I also Jail, this man's injured, and the very first thing you say whenever reading a news story about his injury is not a fan of your mustache.
Yeah,
just throwing shots at him whenever the dude's already knocked down. Jail, you had to kick him about his mustache as well.
Listen, he's getting tons of money to be in those shaving commercials where he's shaving his entire face, and I see him here with this caterpillar on his lip.
How have I never seen a Josh Allen shaving commercial? Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, Gillette. I think he's a big Gillette guy.
I had no idea. Not a single clue.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to Google Josh Allen Gillette in the next 10 minutes. Or do. You know what, Jail? I want to be equally as enraged at you that he's a fraud and a fuck. Okay? Like, I'm sitting here just left out of knowing what a fraudulent person he is in the shaving commercial with a mustache. I got to get in on that.
That's fair. That's fair.
Guys, coming up, we are going to answer some personal questions and play a game we call Quotey McQuoteface. Then we've got some hypothetically coming up a little bit later as well. And if you've got questions for us, throw them in the chat. We are more than happy to answer anything and everything you throw our way. And as Jail mentioned earlier, the trade daddy himself, Alex Korf, a.k.a. Peaked in High School, is going to be coming on the show to go over his trade value charts. And no, he is not. It is just me and JL going over his trade value charts without the trade daddy. We don't even have a babysitter. Guys, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla. That's 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball starting, I'm going to bring up.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, in the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know
again,
it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not gonna start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing. Okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right?
Yeah, that can incite you. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play. What? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But, like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to my team.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
The
John
game.
Luke, it's in the game.
Auto game.
Have you, I don't know why that reminded me. Have you seen the new voice changing filter on TikTok that like make to like the woman's voice who reads everything on the TikTok app?
No.
And so people have been putting like death metal songs through it, and it just makes them clear as day and like a nice woman voice. And they're like, finally, I can know what my favorite bands are saying. Like, and they're just playing all these songs, like these death metal songs through the filter, and you can like hear the drums, and it's just like Satan smiles down on the weak. Like it's just like in like this really nice voice.
Raining with the blood of my enemies.
Exactly. It's like one of my new favorite trends on TikTok. I crack up every time. It never gets old.
We got to make one of those later.
Let's do it. It's like whenever people were putting Dear Maria Count Me into every intro sequence for anime. And everyone I saw, I watched and laughed every time.
And it worked every single time.
Every single time. Jail,
shout out All Time Low.
Shout out All Time Low. Is that who sings Dear Maria Count Me? I thought that was Maid Parade.
You are incorrect. It is All Time Low. Baltimore band. Fun fact.
Shout out Baltimore.
Shout out Baltimore.
Am I right or am I right?
You're right. So right.
I learned someone was from Baltimore the other day, a famous person that I didn't know was from Baltimore. Who do you think it was? Because I can't think of it.
Woodrow Wilson.
It was not Woodrow Wilson. I knew that one.
Rats. Edgar Allan Poe.
No, I knew that one too, JL. The whole Ravens thing, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
I have no
famous
idea.
people that came out.
I guess I'll figure it out one day.
Moses
or
Ingram?
I won't, because your memory becomes fleeting as you get older. Even
That's
not
true.
that old.
Dementia will soon
start slipping.
Yeah, take its death grip on us. Mr. Scamper said death metal cats must be crying. Must be.
Is that a thing? Death metal cats?
I guess
I know what I'm Googling in an hour or two.
Also, I love within the first hour now, we've hit 2 existential moments, Simon. We just went right back into it.
It's that kind of day. I'm not feeling good. Hey, everyone, this is
not feeling good.
I'm not okay.
All right, what we got next, Simon? Oh, we got some questions. You want to hit those first?
Yeah, let's hit those questions.
Almost forgot. The break was so much fun. I almost forgot about the questions. Bronson, and we got Glory Sports said hello. Hello, Glory Sports. Welcome in.
What's up?
And let's see. I lost my place. So Bronson asked, should I trade Kamara for Ramondre Stevenson and D-Hop? Yeah, I'd do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a drop off from Kamara to Ramondre, but there's the additional risk with Kamara's suspension potentially coming at the end of this year, though that division seeming more and more competitive by the day, right? Seeming more winnable. So maybe the fears of that are a little bit lower than they were at the beginning of the season as the Saints stay in the playoff hunt in that division.
Right.
But you're getting a
top tier running back and a top tier wide receiver back in return, even though it's a slight downgrade at running back. I'm all for it.
Wow, that question was a while ago. I messed that up. My B. And MB came in here. Let us know. I got Gordert.
Hell yeah. Go out and get your Gordert.
Yeah, get your Gordert.
Hell yeah. Gordert, welcome to the squad, baby.
Earless Gerdert.
Gerdert for the win. I had no idea who we were talking about until you just said Dallas Gerdert.
Darylers Gerdert.
Literally, I was like, are we talking Melvin Gordon? Like, what's
just got Gordert.
That sounds disgusting. Like, God, it's such a bad day. I got Gordert.
Yeah, I got Gordert on my way to work.
Test results came back.
Positive.
I got the Gordert.
Gordert. Glory Sports in here saying, should I start Justin Fields or Kyler Murray week 10?
That's it. I'm deleting Tinder. I'm not getting Gordert again.
Sad to get.
Okay, sorry. Glory Sports wanted to know Justin Fields or Kyler Murray in week 10. In fact, that is what he wants to know. And Miami's playing the Cleveland Browns this week. So Tua Tagovailoa going up against the Cleveland Browns. Justin Fields going up against Detroit. Ooh.
Is it field season, Simon?
Ooh.
Can we do it?
Ooh, man. And also, I said the wrong thing. Kyler Murray does not play for the Dolphins who are playing Cleveland. That's not true at all. Kyler Murray plays for the Arizona Cardinals who are playing the Los Angeles Rams. So I realized that halfway through the question. It's Justin Fields. This is time to start Justin Fields over Kyler Murray in my eyes. It is such a good matchup, especially for a team that's weak against the run like the Detroit Lions are. Justin Fields is going to run all over these guys. It's going to be beautiful.
He runs a lot. Yeah. So I'm with you, Simon. It's Justin Fields season.
What about Justin Fields or Tua Tagovailoa, who is playing the Cleveland Browns this week?
Are you sure?
Positive.
Positive. I would still go Tua in that situation. I'm still starting Tua over Fields. What about you?
I'm with you. I'm still starting Tua over Fields as well. But start Fields with confidence. Be excited.
Yeah. And Brandon in here. What up, Brandon? Good morning. Says, should I drop Tom Brady and pick up Watson? Fields is my QB. Yeah, I'd actually be fine doing that. Tom Brady, it sucks to drop him. I think he's going to bounce back. So he's not an auto drop by any means. Sean Watson coming back. You're probably going to start Sean Watson over Tom Brady rest of the season or once Watson's back. Or is that true for you, Simon?
Yeah, I think so.
And then start Fields the next couple of weeks until he is. I'd be okay making this move.
Absolutely. Then you got Fields maybe until it's tough matchups in the playoffs, and you can play matchups with Watson and Fields.
It's not risk-free. Tom Brady might bounce back, but
Sean Watson might not be who we think he's going to be in this offense. There's a lot that's changed for him since we last seen him play, but I'm doing it, JL. I'm with you.
I would too. NB in here saying PPR, I have Kyler, D-Hop, ETN, Eckler, Chubb, Pierce, Cordero Patterson, and Aaron Jones. Who do I trade of this group here? Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Etienne, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Damian Pierce, and Cordero Patterson. Which of these guys would you be trying to trade?
And Aaron Jones. Holy running back core.
And Aaron Jones, you're right.
Etienne, Eckler, Chubb, Pierce, Cordero Patterson, and Aaron Jones. Yeah, that is a plethora of riches. I don't know exactly what you do here. I would package maybe two of those guys, assuming you can start like three of them, right? Two in your running back spots, one in your flex. I'd package two of those guys because you still have multiple on your bench and try to go for one of the top tier players. You know what I mean? Like
wide receiver, I would say. Well, I guess I don't know who your tight ends are, but just the fact that you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins and no other wide receivers makes me think that maybe the wide receiver depth would be where I'd try and focus on trading like you can do Aaron Jones, but a Chubb or a Pierce for a wide receiver.
Yeah, and if you need to, you could do, see if somebody with one of the top receivers, somebody with Kupp, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, like Stephon Diggs, if one of these guys is struggling, if their team is not doing well, and then try to offer them Chubb, like JL said. See if you can get that done. And if you need to, I'm fine throwing Chubb plus Cordero Patterson to get one of those top guys. But it's got to be one of the top guys. Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp. Go for one of them.
Yeah, and B came in here clarifying. I only have Keenan Allen and Schultz and Gordert Durless Gardner. I like that. Is that auto? He fixed it and added in autocorrect. That's my new favorite autocorrect for sure.
Durless Girder. I will never his name, another name ruined on the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show.
Yeah, no, seeing your wide receivers, I definitely focus on getting one of those top tier guys. Move some of that running back depth because you can't start all of them every week.
Nah, you can't.
You can't. And Kevin here saying, "Sup, guys? What up, Kevin?" Said Mooney or Hardman rest of season. That's a Simon question right there.
No, it's not. That is not
Mooney.
a Simon question, JL.
Darnell Mooney.
It's Darnell Mooney. I think you're just going to get a bit more consistency. I know Mecole Hardman has been wildly consistent over the last 4 weeks, but there's just so many pieces in that offense that are talented, know what I mean, of equal talent or of similar talent to Mecole Hardman that I don't see him keeping this level of consistency up rest of the year. Darnell Mooney's the one on his team. He's going to get the targets even if it's in a worse offense. I feel more comfortable with Darnell Mooney rest of season.
This one's tough.
It is tough.
I think I would go Mecole Hardman, though. I think I'm on the Mecole Hardman side. And the reason being the offense. Chicago Bears offense is just not passing very much. Even with Justin Fields playing well, it's not coming off the back of increased passing volume or enough increased passing volume to really be worth it. I believe JJ Zacharyson said on our waiver wire Q&A yesterday that they're at slightly over 20 passing attempts a game. And that was from this week, like that, the average shot up.
That being said, they are also buoyed down a little bit by the 17-11-17 start, right? Like their average is just over 20, but the past 5 games have been a little bit higher than that. And
a little
the first
bit higher.
3 games were a little bit lower than that.
That's fair.
So those first 3 weeks are holding it down. But that being said, I'm not sitting here calling them a pass-heavy offense. They are still not a pass-heavy offense in Chicago.
Yeah.
Like we're talking an increase from 17 to 25, right? Like it's not like they're chucking the ball 40 times a game over here.
Right. It's a small increase. They're still in the bottom half of teams in terms of passing attempts. Yeah. So I'd be okay going Mecole Hardman. I understand the concerns with the crowded backfield, though. It's not a backfield. Wide receiver room.
I barely know the room. Mr. Scamper said, if your Gorders bleed, see a doctor. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
See you, Mr. Scampers. He makes one Gorders joke and says, I'm out.
I'm out of here. Kevin saying, I have Claypool also and starting Justin Fields.
Now that doesn't change.
Out of context.
That doesn't change the answer for me.
Yeah.
It's still Darnell Mooney rest of the season.
Mr. Scampers has a question for us. Simon, who are your top 3 wide receivers rest of season for trade?
Top 3 wide receivers rest of season. Like, who are my top 3 guys? I mean, I think it's Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, and Stephon Diggs. Even with the Josh Allen injury, I think those are the 3 guys. Justin Jefferson can be in that conversation. AJ Brown can be in that conversation probably. Hell, even Jaylen Waddle could be in that conversation. But I'll go Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs as the top 3 guys. Tommy saying not Diggs, probably because of the Josh Allen injury. But Case Keenum's a serviceable backup. Stephon Diggs is still the very clear one in that offense, and they've played together before. Know what I mean? It's about as good of a backup situation as you could have for Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. I think I'd go. I think I have to have AJ Brown in that mix. Just that offense is so fantastic. The whole team is so good. And then I'd throw Kupp and I'd throw Tyreek Hill. Those would be my 3. Sucks not having Justin Jefferson in there.
AJ Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Cooper Kupp. You're replacing Diggs for Brown.
Yeah, but Diggs is right outside that. So I don't hate the Diggs call at all.
And Glory Sports following up on that says, do you think Josh Allen will play week 10? I'm a big Bills fan. I hope he plays. I don't know. I like the reports are, I've seen reports that it's likely this is something he can play through, but then do they really even want to risk that if he's in pain and it's affecting him? If I had to guess, I would say no, but I bet he's back in week 11. I bet he's back the following week.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, no, I do agree. Yeah, sorry, that was the last question. I almost brought up the same question. I was like, nope, don't do it, JL.
Well, and JL, do you think Josh Allen will play in week 10? I'm a big Bills fan. I hope he plays.
I don't know, Simon. What do you think about Josh Allen playing in week 10? I'm a big Bills fan, and I hope he plays.
I don't know, but Tommy thinks from the best. He said poor Devontae Adams. Whenever we're talking about these wide receivers, he said from the best wide receiver in the league to Raider mediocrity.
Mediocrity
reminds me of Randy Moss all over again. That does have to hurt. Like the excitement around signing Devontae Adams, and then it's just a stinky season. Like everything's coming together, right? This is the year. The Raiders are going to be great. That hurts. That hurts. Tommy, you know what? I get it though. Spending my life as a Browns fan, we would win the offseason every single year. Every year it was our year. Every year it was like, well, the Browns making great moves. And they won 2 games. And they've won 1 game in the last 32. Like it was just, there was no winning. You thought you would do it, and then you go into the season full of hope every single year, and then just destroyed.
And being here
in the fire of being a Browns fan is
that
what
is
we got
true.
here.
And Browns fans mostly have to live in Ohio too, which is probably not the best. MB in here, it's asking Aaron Jones and Dameon Pierce for Stephon Diggs. Did you make that trade, Sam?
So on their team, maybe, because of the depth they have at the running back position and the lack of receiver help that they need. Like maybe for their team. I would see if you could get it done for just Aaron Jones with the Josh Allen news right now. Josh Allen going to miss some time, but I'm fine. And then maybe I would try Aaron Jones plus Cordero Patterson before I did Aaron Jones plus Dameon Pierce. But in the end, if this is what it takes to get it done, to get that top receiver on your team, you've still got Eckler. You've still got Chubb, right? Like there were other running backs as well that I believe you still have ETN, Eckler, Chubb, and ETN all still sitting on your team, and Cordero Patterson. If you make this move, you're good to do it, MB. This makes your team better.
I love that Cordero Patterson advice here, because I think that I would be way more happy to throw him in, and you might just get somebody who's hyped with Cordero coming off that huge week.
2 touchdowns. You might get someone excited, right?
I just looked quickly at Alex's trade value charts to see where this trade stacked up. It's about, you're overpaying by about 10 trade value points, which is about in line with what we kind of see. Alex kind of talks about this, where in order to get those top tier guys, sometimes you have to overpay.
Yeah.
And so I'm with Simon. I think I'm okay with it. It's like just getting to the point where it might get a little too rich for me, but it's still on that line where I'm okay with it, especially given your team.
MB, you don't need to give 3 running backs for 1 wide receiver. 2 of your running backs, you have great running backs. Even if you got to mix and match them, you can get one of those top tier guys. And for Justin Jefferson, it's a similar valuation for me. Like it's similar. The answer doesn't change as long as it's one of those top tier guys. Coming up, we are going to be answering some personal questions and then playing a game we call Quotey McQuote Face. We've got some hypothetically a little bit later today as well. And as always, answering all of your fantasy questions. Then we will be talking trade values and targets using our friend Alex Corp's PeakedInHS trade value charts. He'll be here in spirit. We'll sing Trade Daddy for him over and over again. You're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern on Better Sports Network.
There was a tweet about the refs that had me kind of cracking up the other day, because somebody was like, we have the technology to track the ball down to a centimeter and figure out, what speed these guys are running on the field. Yet somehow we still mark the ball by
That's my favorite.
A 60-year-old dude eyeballing it, and then we run over with literal chains and measure it. It's like, you think we could probably get that figured out.
The least precise way to measure something, and then immediately following that up with a super precise way of measuring something.
Yeah, it's like we have satellite. Like if you're a millimeter short of that chain that they bring out there, that they ran out it as best they could in a straight line. But if you first they just go here, and then they grab the chains and they run in the straightest line possible. But then if you are 1 millimeter short with that football, doesn't count. Sorry. Couldn't have been human error. You're just short.
That's exactly. And, they bring up the index card or whatever. Meanwhile, they have satellites in space tracking how fast Brandon Ayuk ran on an end around. But we can't.
And I can see that number live while he's doing it. Like I can see every player's speed on the screen live.
I love that. It's and not to mention that dude's trying to make the spot, and the player always tosses the ball right into his face. Right? He's coming over to spot it, and it's every other time the player just here you go. Here's another thing to juggle.
On call with Dr. Roto.
If the Giants don't win another game this year, A, I'll be shocked. But B, I'll still think that they're better than they were with Joe Judge. Much better. Because I think Brian Dable's got a lot out of this team already. And I'm seeing what this team could be. See, that's the problem with owners and general managers. I see Nathaniel Hackett and I see a guy who can't get it done. I see Matt Rule and see a guy who never should have been hired. Disaster right away. Sometimes a good coordinator in the NFL is better. I don't even say sometimes. Most of the time, a good coordinator in the NFL is better than a college coach because the NFL coordinators, they know the system. They've been there. They've played. They've been around it. For the life of me, I don't know why Eric Bieniemy hasn't gotten a job yet. Deuce Staley's going to get a job. Somebody's going to hire that dude. When you've been around the game, you understand it. These college guys come, they don't know it.
Join the show with one touch of a button. It's Sports Talk 3.0 on Better Sports Network.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. Joining us now for the rest of the show is our friend, Front Yard fan member, GManJay. What's up, Jay?
What's going on, guys?
Repping your Bangin' Kicker shirt today.
That's right. I found the Eli Manning shirt and realized that I put on a little weight since I used to wear that shirt.
No.
So, yeah, I was like this. I was like, yeah, I'm not sitting in that shirt for 2 hours. So
there's nothing worse. There's no worse feeling than that. You get your shirt, you put it on, and then that moment of just like, oh, no.
And it was like, can I do this? You know, it was like up to here. Like I would have had to sit like this the entire show. And
no matter what, you always think, is it me or is it the shirt?
Right. The shirt just shrank. That's all. You know, it was bad quality.
You ran it through the wash one too many times. God, Jay,
it's the sympathy weight I put on for my wife being pregnant. I'm doing it for her.
I don't think it works that good.
You're a good man. Jay.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm really just impressed with what you're willing to sacrifice for the comfort of your family. Wildly impressed.
If you're like me, then that shirt will sit in your drawer for the next 3 years as you optimistically hope that you will lose weight so that it will fit again.
100%. I've got a stack of shirts like that. They're like, Megan's like, why don't you get rid of these? Well, this was NFC Championship shirt. I can't get rid of this. Like,
one
day
I
can't
might
get these
be skinny
anymore.
Again.
Right. I'll lose the weight. You just don't worry about it.
I have this like my weight fluctuates wildly. Like I'll fluctuate 40 pounds in a year. So I have pants ranging from like 7 sizes different, from like 29 to 36, and I can't throw any of them away because who knows where I'll be next year. Because like every time, like I've done it before, I throw away a pair, like that weight is behind me. No, it's not. Or like, okay, I'm just this big now. No, I'm not. Like every time I throw them away, then it's like I gotta buy new pants all the time. So I just keep a nice little like Kohl's clothing rack in my closet of khakis, different pants at different sizes.
That is smart. Do you keep Kohl's cash in them just to be safe, or?
Well, Jay, I can't hold on to Kohl's cash.
That's
it's
true.
just burning a hole in my pocket. You have a collection of Kohl's cash. Come on, Jay.
I'm not responsible.
You see those graphic
silly question on my part.
Flies out of your pocket.
Right.
This is not financial advice.
Marvel, soda, or Star Wars. I mean, that's your 3 choices.
Yeah, they always got those there.
We got a question in here from Jeff Johnson asking, my team is at QB, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, running back, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Cordero Patterson, and Deonta Foreman. Wide receivers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Alan Lazard, Marquise Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Pickens, Palmer, tight end Kelsey. Do you think I try to make a move at wide receiver or stay? They're at 7-2. So their team is 7-2. Do you think they should try and make a move at wide receiver here, given their team?
Man, it's without trading away Kelsey, it's going to be tough to upgrade your wide receiver position, I think, because I'm not trading away Eckler or Saquon. And then it gets pretty risky after that, moving Patterson, because I don't have trust in Deonta Foreman the rest of the season to be like a every week locked and loaded starter. After what we saw this past week, Chuba Hubbard's going to come back. You don't have the running back depth, I think, to trade away a running back to try to upgrade wide receiver. So it's either going to have to be Kelsey or a package of 2 of those second-tier guys to try to upgrade one player.
Yeah, I could see something along the lines of maybe I'm with you, and I've said sell high on Patterson, but for this team, I think it makes sense to keep him as the RB3. I would try to package, something like Foreman and Lazard, maybe for like a Tyler Lockett level, a mid to high end wide receiver too, because you've got the move. Marquise Brown is coming back, so that's going to be your move when the playoffs start. So you've got that. You don't need to make this huge move. You got a really good team. I think Pickens is going to turn it on as well with Claypool now in Chicago. I wouldn't do anything drastic, but just shop around a little bit, see if somebody needs a win, needs a running back right now. You might be able to pull something off.
I was trying to get the latest update on Marquise Brown when he might be back. The top story I see is he says he'll be back, quote, real soon on November 4th. So yeah, that's what Hollywood Browns
doesn't sound good.
That's like today. Today's real soon from November 4th, I would say.
Yeah.
Like we're approaching not real soon territory. We're starting to approach soon territory.
We're there.
Like we're in real soon, but we're approaching just soon. So Marquise Brown, I trust your words, man.
Right.
Trust your words.
Young I got in here want to know Evan Ingram or Cade Otton. Evan Ingram or Cade Otton this week. Where are you going, Jaylen? Evan Ingram banged up. He, I believe, injured his back, I think it was, in the last game. Uncertain if he was going to play this week, but it's looking like he's like going to play is what it looks like. But are you going Evan Ingram or are you going Cade Otton?
I'd go Cade Otton here just to avoid that injury uncertainty. Evan Ingram has Kansas City going against Seattle Seahawks. You don't know, Cade Otton is tight end for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of people might not actually recognize that name. But Seattle Seahawks are giving up the most points to the tight end. And so fantasy points, that is. So I would rather just go Cade Otton here. It's a easy matchup. And these are the types of weeks that you have Cade Otton for. He's not a guy that you're starting every single week. He's a guy you're playing in a plus matchup when you're in a pinch.
It makes a ton of sense, Jaylen. If you can avoid the injury uncertainty with a reasonably comparable option, avoid the injury uncertainty. And Cade Otton is exactly that, a reasonably comparable option. Like if both are fully healthy, I'm starting Evan Ingram 10 out of 10 times, unless the matchup is just awful, like truly terrible. Like we're talking maybe like the New Orleans Saints have been shutting down tight ends. Then maybe I'd go Cade Otton. But in this matchup, these two players, you got to roll with the one that's not hurt.
Yeah, and Otton's been seeing a decent amount of targets as well over the past 3 games. 6 targets, 5 targets, 5 targets. So you're happy with that with a bye-week replacement at tight end.
Absolutely. Jay, I want to learn a little bit more about you guys. And so I think it's time we get into our next segment. We're calling personal questions. We talk a lot about football and other stuff here, but we don't necessarily talk a lot about us specifically. So JL and myself and some others have prepared some personal questions that we're going to learn a little bit more about what goes on behind the eyes on the screen.
I didn't sign up for this.
Well, you're here now. JL, you want to kick us off with a personal question?
Sure, I can absolutely handle that for you, Simon. I don't know what this question means, so I'm going to skip that one and go with this next one, which is the dumbest thing you've said in a class.
Oh, God. I have said so many just unbelievably dumb things in class.
I don't remember anything I said in class. I'm skipping this one, too. Forget that question. Let's go with what is a dream that you remember vividly? Good, bad, or weird? What's a dream that you remember vividly?
Okay, buckle up. This one's a little bit weird, but I remember it very vividly. It is by far the most bizarre dream I've ever had. Okay. So in this dream, this one like stuck in my mind. Like you ever wake up from a dream and like you just can't sleep? Like it sticks with you. It wasn't necessarily like horrifying. It was just like, what the hell?
It feels so unbelievably real.
So I was a defense attorney in this dream, and I was in a court case in an old wooden courthouse with like double doors swinging open. It kind of looked like had like church pews. It was tiny old wooden courthouse. And I'm up in front, like giving like the final defense. I don't know how lawyer stuff works. So in my dream, it just rolled, right? I'm giving like my final spiel about my
You're
client.
in the final countdown.
What he's being accused of, though, he's being accused of being Satan and charged in a court of law is what my client is being accused of. And I know for a fact that this man isn't, but I'm trying to prove it. And it is not going well.
He's not Satan?
I know he's not. He and I are like,
How do you know? Did he show you?
Well, we just like, he's not. I'm positive of it, Jaylen. Your question in my dream, like that's an objective fact in my dream is that he is not. Okay. He's innocent, and I'm his defense attorney trying to prove it. But he's about to get falsely convicted. At the last second, as the judge is about to bring the gavel down, like movie style, and say guilty, the entire courthouse starts shaking, and the double wooden doors I told you about earlier, two like emoji style devil heads like of wooden chunks shoot out across the courthouse and slam into the wall in the back. The doors swing open and flames shoot up the aisles on either side. In walks Donald Glover. Donald Glover walks into the courthouse. Okay?
I did not see that coming.
Me neither. It was shocking. Donald Glover walks in the courthouse. Everyone's looking at him and he goes,
well, Childish Gambino showed up.
Childish Gambino shows up and says, that man can't be Satan because I am, and then flames all around him, and I woke up. So I don't know if that changed the outcome of the court case, but
oh my God, that is wild.
Truly,
usually people's dreams are so boring to listen to.
I don't really dream anymore. I don't know. Maybe I just don't remember.
I feel like a beat after that.
Like I'm tired, I guess. I'm too tired to get those dreams, but that is my most memorable dream. And sometimes it just like comes back and I'm just thinking about like, what was
like a full story.
Brain?
I feel like mine are not usually full stories. Like it's like, you know,
I feel like
everyone
I jump in the third act and leave before the movie's over. Like it's
it feels like a kindergartner made the plot of my dreams.
It was wild. That was not, I mean, glad I experienced that, but I woke up just like, what the hell? Like, what is going on?
Are you glad you experienced that, Simon?
Absolutely. 100%.
That's a good point.
I think one of the only lucid dreams I ever had was I was like sleeping on the floor of my parents' room. I was like a kid, and I was sitting there and I noticed like a fire hydrant was like cartoony, and so I'm like, I'm definitely in a dream right now. And so I start trying different things out. So I start like seeing what I can affect, and I end up like walking. It's almost like, you know, those like Mickey Mouse cartoons where the person's like walking on a street, but it's like a treadmill.
Yeah.
Like they're staying in place, but everything around them's moving.
100%. I know what you're talking about.
Exactly. And so I'm sitting there walking and I'm like doing like, you know, controlling things with my hands. And then my sister walks in the room, trips over me and wakes me up. Only time I've ever lucid dreamed. Worst day of my life.
I don't have any really funny ones. Everything are just the generic, you know, you're naked at school type of thing. Or, you know, the only one is like, I was late for my last class in my
and you were
senior
in your
semester at college, and you know, and I wasn't going to graduate because of blah blah blah, all that stuff. Nothing interesting like Donald.
We
Glover
really shouldn't have started with Simon's
Satan.
One, yeah.
Right,
Nothing has made more sense than the fact that Jay dreams in sitcom tropes. Like
yes,
only
like 100%. It's the truth too. I wish I was making it up, but I've definitely
There's like a laugh track in all his
naked,
dreams.
Yeah.
He looks down.
It's the truth.
It is the truth.
Now Megan will never go to prom with me. And then
Oh man. All right. Before we move on from this segment, we got to ask this one. Mr. Scampers asked, where and what would your professional team be called, and what sport do they play?
Ooh,
that's a good one.
That is a good question, Mr. Scampers. I'm going to start with the where, because I feel like that's the easiest part here, is to nail down the where. Where would my professional sports?
I think mine would be the Golden Corral Nuggets.
And what sport do they play?
And they play baseball.
Okay, so baseball. And is it like the Denver Nuggets, similar or spelled different?
It's the exact same.
The same logo, same everything. They just play at a Golden Corral.
I don't know why I thought poop nuggets when you said that, but not actual nuggets.
I think I'm having a bowling team, a professional bowling team is what my team's going to be.
Given your history?
Well, I'm not bowling on it. I'm assuming I'm the owner. Like that's why I'm doing it. I'm living vicariously through these professional bowlers. They're going to be called the Bowlaroos, and it's going to be stationed in Australia, and it's going to be a kangaroo with a bowling ball in its pouch with little kangaroo ears as the logo.
Stop having better answers than me, Simon.
That's my answer.
Really annoying.
Mine would be the Carolina chocolate covered bacons, because that's what they have at the North Carolina State Fair.
So they have it at every state fair, Jay.
Well, just listen. And the team would be, sorry, I didn't mean to get snippy with you, JL. They would be professional.
Practicing his dadding there.
Yes, sorry. It's just a reaction. Carnival games.
Interrupt.
Carnival games.
Yep. They would go around going from fair to fair and get $5 stuffed animals that you have to pay like $65 for.
Beautiful. What a great thing.
Fair.
I just like it for the food, just for all the terrible food.
I hate it. I think it's the worst place on earth.
Tim and I went to the fair, bought $100 worth of tickets, like the fair in San Antonio, and then 20 minutes later we were like, where'd our $100 go? Like we now our money's gone and we've been here 20 minutes. I wonder what's going on. That being said, it was a lot of fun, but it was only 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah, that's the problem. I just go for the food, the deep fried, chocolate covered, bacon wrapped Reese's and stuff like that.
Yeah, just that.
Just things like this.
Right.
Things
Krispy Kreme bacon cheeseburger. Yeah, never had that.
In the same vein, on the trade value charts around a deep fried chocolate covered bacon wrapped Reese's cup.
Oh, sorry. Sprinkled with powdered sugar. Forgot about that.
Joe, they're not animals.
Not to get too specific, right?
Guys, we are going to move on to our next game that we are calling Quotey Mick Quote Face. Jail, you want to let us know how this game works and how we're going to play?
Yeah, I would love to, Simon. So this game, me and Keith have gone across the internet. We've looked and we have found quotes from anywhere really, but maybe NFL related, maybe not. We'll see. You guys have to guess. Each of you are going to have an opportunity to guess the quote and you have to give me the context around the quote. There is an opportunity to win 2 points on every single quote. So naming who it is correctly and telling me correctly what the context of the quote is. The mechanics are going to work a little differently than how we played last week.
What?
Yeah, it's going to work slightly differently based off a suggestion from Simon, which is if you don't get yours right, your opponent is going to have an opportunity to guess and get points. All right.
Cool.
Hot.
All right. Simple enough. All right. Jay, you are going first on this one.
All righty.
Ask a clarification question before we go.
You may.
If Jay gets the person right, but the context wrong, do I then not get to steal the context? Because that seems like like giving a little bit of an advantage to like getting the context, right?
I will say no. They're still allowed to steal it.
Okay.
Because if you get it wrong, then that's on you.
Okay, you're right.
You're getting it
You're
wrong.
right.
So if the person gets, if I get the person and not the context, but Simon gets the context, then
he gets a
1
point,
and
you get a
1.
point. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You each get a point. All right, Jay. We're starting with you. Here's your first quote. Again, he's a great player, somebody that does kind of everything right. It was nice to get him the ball early in the pass game, and then however many ways we can get him in the run game, it's going to help us out. He's just a great player. He's the type of player that you've got to feed him and allow him to do what he does, but it's nice to have him back. Who said this? What are they talking about, Jay?
Nice to have him back. I'm trying to think of somebody. It sounds like a scat back type of player. Trying to think who came back recently for any teams.
You fool.
Excuse me?
Oh, I said good luck.
Oh, thank you. Let me see.
And as always, with all of our games, please play along in the chat. We love it. I see some guesses already coming in. And if you get it right, these guys get it wrong. We're going to make fun of them relentlessly. That's what we do. All right, Jay, I need an answer.
I'm going to go with Cordero Patterson. It was about Cordero Patterson by Arthur Smith, talking about him coming back this week.
Arthur Smith talking about Cordero Patterson coming back this week, correct?
That's my guess. I'm sticking to it.
Well, we got some guesses here in the chat. Joey, Mr. Scampers say Swift. Mr. Scampers also says DC,
good one.
Which I don't know what he's referring to.
Dan Campbell.
There it is.
Bet you that's it.
But I will say Jay, you are half correct. This is about Cordero Patterson's return, but it wasn't said by Arthur Smith. So, Simon, you have an opportunity here to steal this point. Who said this?
Marcus Mariota.
Marcus Mariota is correct, Simon. You are going to steal this point away from Jay, and it is tied 1-1. Well done.
I don't like the new rules.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
And Tommy in the chat guessed Patterson and then guessed Mariota. Nice. Well done.
I guess Marriott. I think that's the new hotel. That's the new hotel chain by Marriott. Marriott
yes.
A.
Mariota.
It's their luxury brand. Marriott A.
Joey said, I feel bad for Jay. Yeah, me too. Me too. But not bad enough. How you guys feeling about Cordero Patterson?
I'm
excited.
I'm fairly optimistic. That was his first week back. He got the important carries and he looked good with the carries that he got. I think they're going to keep the rookies involved, but this is Cordero Patterson as the primary back here. So I think he's startable every single week. I know Jay's probably a little bit lower on him than I am.
Not a little lower. I think that I would look to sell high if somebody is super hyped up on him. I wouldn't just look to give him away, but if you can get high-end RB2 value for him, I think you make that move 10 times out of 10 because his stats were inflated this week by the 2 touchdowns. You got 2 other capable running backs in this backfield that he's not going to have, the type of production that he did at the beginning of this year and also the end of or last year because you've got some more guys that are involved in this backfield.
I just think he's better than them. Like I don't even think they're compared. Like I think he is the best back on the team. I know Algier looked better in this past game, but it was CPAT's first game back, and I think he adds an element to this offense that they don't. So I'm a little less concerned about that workload. I think he's going to get it.
Yeah, I agree with Simon. I think he will get it as well. My biggest concern is will he be able to hold up against that workload? We got a question in here before we get on to our next quote here. JT asking, should I trade Waddle for Amari Cooper and Justin Fields? 7-2 record. My QB is Daniel Jones. What do you guys think about this one?
It's interesting. I think I generally don't like to trade away value for a quarterback in a 1 QB league. That being said, it's a pretty big upgrade from Daniel Jones to Justin Fields in my eyes. But that also being said, Justin Fields has a brutal playoff schedule. So you were just setting yourself up to have to find another option or roll through an Eagles-Bills back-to-back playoff game schedule with Justin Fields. Yeah, I think I'm staying put with Jaylen Waddle. Roll with Daniel Jones, maybe play the waiver wire, see if there's other guys out there, but I'm staying put.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm hanging on to Waddle. If I were to trade a guy like Waddle, I would need, something in the realm of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I'd even still consider Justin Herbert, but Daniel Jones has been safe enough. I know he didn't have a good game against Seattle, but with his rushing floor, he's been a pretty safe start at QB, and you want that explosiveness, that big game possibility out of Waddle.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'd rather just keep the skill position player here. Good question. And that is a good reminder. If you have questions, fantasy questions, week 10 fantasy questions, waiver wire, anything, trading, got trade deadlines coming up, throw them in the chat. We will get to them as we go along with the show. We're here for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's get into our next quote.
Yep,
here.
skiddly do. So I figured I had to do that for Coop.
Thanks.
Shout out
Thank
Coop.
you. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
It's a little bit louder than Coop usually does it.
Oh, sorry.
The excitement overcame him. It's okay.
Yeah, it's a little startling. That's fine. Simon, this one is for you. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here's your quote. I'm not going to get into that. That's not my decision. Like I said, I want to win. And whatever role that is decided to be, then I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it extremely well. Who said that? What are they talking about?
I feel like I heard this quote. Like I feel like I read this with a name attached to it. Can you say that one? Can I hear it one more time, Jail?
You absolutely can. I'm not going to get into that. That's not my decision. Like I said, I want to win. And whatever role that is decided to be, then I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it extremely well.
Man, I do not know for sure. I'm going to go with, because that was one that we did last time. Let's go with Elijah Moore on the New York Jets about his lack of involvement again in this past week's game.
Elijah Moore talking about his lack of involvement again in week 9, correct?
Yes.
All right. And we got a couple guesses here in the chat.
Well, if I'm wrong, if I am wrong, you shouldn't read them, right? Because then you give it to Jay.
Yes.
You read it after Jay guesses.
I wasn't going to. Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't going to read them. I just wanted to shout them out for guessing in the chat. This was absolutely not correct, Simon, on all fronts.
Yeah, I figured. That's why I stopped you. That's why
Jay,
I came in.
You have an opportunity to steal here. Would you like to take a guess?
I would. I want to take the shot that it's Malik Willis about if he thinks he's going to be the starting quarterback for the Tennessee Titans for the rest of the season.
Malik Willis talking about whether he is going to be the starting Tennessee Titans quarterback. And that is wrong. Completely wrong. Bonk.
You got me. I thought I had it there.
It was both excellent guesses, but this was actually Baker Mayfield on whether he did enough to earn the starting QB spot.
Nice. Did anyone in the chat get that one? I closed it out.
Tommy got Baker Mayfield.
Tommy.
Well done, Tommy.
Nice
Mrs.
job,
Camper
Tommy.
said Paul Giamatti.
Yes, of course.
Could have been.
Right.
In what context,
I thought
Dale?
I was thinking of him when we were talking about Blossom earlier, because I was mixing it up with Billions, which I think is the Paul Giamatti show, like HBO show that starts with B. I'm like, okay, this is the same.
Don't mind me while I Google.
Paul Giamatti. It's about
I know
whether
who it
he was, going to be the Rhino in the MCU. That's what Paul Giamatti was about. So.
And Kevin Evans in here says subs. I appreciate you, Kevin. Glad to have you in here spending the morning with us.
Dommed.
What?
I
What?
said, I just said.
I don't know why I immediately parroted you without understanding at all what you had said.
That's risky, JL. That is
Very risky.
Oh boy. All right. Let's get into our next quote here, Jay. This one is for you.
Right.
At the beginning of the game, playing good ball and being gap sound, but it's our job, the O-line's job, obviously, to wear those guys down, pull guys around, get guys mad, and make us look good. All credit goes to the guys up front, to the scheme, and just going out there and playing ball.
Could you repeat one more time?
I can. At the beginning of the game, opponents do a good job playing good ball and being gap sound, but it's our job, the O-line's job, obviously, to wear those guys down, pull guys around, get guys mad, and make us look good. All credit goes to the guys up front, to the scheme, and just going out there and playing ball.
I am going to go with Kenyon Drake. How he started off a little slow on Monday night, but wound up having a big game. 2 touchdowns, close to 100 yards. Go with Kenyon Drake.
Kenyon Drake. You're going to go with Kenyon Drake talking about his performance in week 9.
And that's completely wrong.
And that is completely right, Jay. On both fronts, you're going to get 2 points on this one.
Really?
No.
This is absolutely right. Kenyon
Are you
Drake on
serious?
the running game getting better throughout the game. Yeah.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
So well done. That's 2 points for you, Jay.
I'm shocked. I did not. I was like,
You
that's
thought
a
he was
good
wrong?
guess. I was like, that's a really good guess. I was like, you put together a narrative. Had you heard that quote, or was that just like
I have not. No, I just
Yo.
I had to start Kenyon Drake, so I kind of had an advantage where like I needed
So now
just a
you
few
now you
points.
can read his mind.
Yes. Well, I kept up with like he started off really slow.
we got
Simon,
a
I
cheating
even said
scandal
that
in the
to
midst, Jay? Did you are you cheating on here? Are you getting secret messages sent to you from Tommy?
Yes.
In your
Yes, I
butthole?
am. Actually, no, from Kenyon Drake.
In your anal beads? Sorry, Joey's. Well done, Jay. You're going to get 2 points on this one. Nice. And we got some questions in here I want to hit before we get on to our final quote here. Brandon came in here and asked, would you rather stash Kyron Williams, Jaylen Warren, Isaiah Pacheco, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Gus Edwards? Pick 2 of these guys to stash. Kyron Williams, Jaylen Warren, Isaiah Pacheco, Wan'Dale Robinson, Gus Edwards.
There's 2 guys on here that stand out. One wide receiver, 1 running back. I want to stash Gus Edwards whenever he's coming back into this Ravens passing or rushing attack. It sounds like, according to Harbaugh, he's going to be ready to go in this next game. Maybe not in a full capacity, but you're not going to have to stash for too long. The other one is rookie wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson of the New York Giants. I like his upside over the back half of the season. If he does establish himself as the full one in this offense for Daniel Jones, those are the two guys I'm throwing on the back of my bench.
I think I'm with you, Simon. Gus Edwards and Wan'Dale Robinson really stand out in this group.
The only other guy I'd like to mention is Jaylen Warren. There's a lot of talk that he could potentially take over as the starter, which you would have thought at the beginning of the season there was absolutely no chance, but he's looked really good on the field, and Najee has not. There's already talk of, is Najee the next Trent Richardson, which is kind of scary.
It's a rude.
It is, especially as lovable of a guy as Najee Harris is. But you got to produce on the field. I think personally that the injury was a lot worse than he let on, and he wanted to stay on the field so Jaylen Warren wouldn't take his job, and it was pretty much worst case scenario.
Yeah, I don't mind the Jaylen Warren ad. That being said, for me, that's a very that's just a lottery ticket. It
depends. Yeah. It depends on what you need for your roster. If you're okay at wide receiver and you got to take some shots and stash some running backs on your bench, then I would go with the Gus Edwards and Warren. But if you're solid and you're just looking for best player available, I'd go with the two you guys said.
And Dustin, you're saying Warren and Wan'Dale Robinson. We had a question from MB asking, is Jackson and JJ, Lamar Jackson and Justin Jefferson versus Kyler Murray, Damian Pierce, and Aaron Jones okay?
I'd rather have Lamar and JJ, not even close.
I think that's the side he would be trading for, right? Because we know he has Pierce, Aaron Jones, and Kyler on his team.
I make that move 10 times out of 10.
Yeah, I'm cool with that trade.
I'm cool with that trade as well, MB. I like that.
I'll go for it. TX asks, stream DPJ Gallup or Terrace Marshall?
Oh, my.
What do you guys think?
I think here I'm probably going with Terrace Marshall. His volume has been the safest over the past couple weeks of these guys, and he's got a decent matchup going up against the Atlanta Falcons. So it's a Terrace Marshall week for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't believe I'm saying start Terrace Marshall, but here we are. Welcome to fantasy football.
Welcome to fantasy football. Brendan in here. A last question before we get on to our next quote. Asking Jets or Patriots defense rest of season. Best have juicy schedules. That's a funny sentence. Jets or Patriots defense rest of the season? What do you guys think?
Tricky.
I'm going to go with the Jets.
Are you are going with the Jets? That's where you're going?
Because of their secondary with guys like Sauce Gardner, man. I could see, them making some big plays. You basically, with defenses, you're looking for good matchups and defenses that are able to make big plays for touchdowns. And Sauce Gardner has looked like the real deal, man. He's looked phenomenal. So that's where I lean.
I think I'm with you. It feels wrong to say the Jets, but I think I'll go with the Jets as well, Jay.
Triple Jets here. Man, that Sauce Gardner crazy stat. It's just living rent-free in my head, Simon. 4 yards, 28, or 4 receptions for 28 yards in all-man coverage. 28 catches for 4 yards.
Unbelievable.
Unfreaking believable. All right, we're going to get to the rest of these questions after this game. All right, Simon. Here is your last quote. To be honest, man, I wasn't even thinking about no celebrations, man. I was just excited that we came out firing on all cylinders and was able to get the running game going. So the celebrations and stuff, it literally came as we was on the run, and that's how we had a plan. I'll read that one again. To be honest, man, I wasn't even thinking about no celebrations, man. I was just excited that we came out firing on all cylinders and was able to get the running game going. So the celebrations and stuff, it literally came as we were on the run, and that's how we had a plan.
Okay. So I don't know this one for sure, but I do know the Minnesota Vikings did a nice little bowling celebration during the game this week. And I think it was after the Dalvin Cook touchdown. So I'm going to go Dalvin Cook talking about the bowling celebration they did after he ran a touchdown in during the Vikings game in week 9.
Sorry, Simon, say that one more time.
Dalvin Cook about the bowling celebration that they did during the Vikings game after he scored a touchdown in week 9.
Dalvin Cook after the bowling touchdown celebration in week 9 is wrong.
Yeah, Jay, whenever you asked me to repeat it, I knew it was wrong.
I was completely zoned out. I was reading a comment whenever you said it.
Basically not paying any attention to you at all whatsoever, Simon.
Listen, it's a long 3 hours. Jay, you have an opportunity to steal here. Would you like to guess?
That was literally going to be my exact guess. I can't think of any other celebrations from this past weekend. I don't have a guess.
Bonk is Joe Mixon on his touchdown celebrations. And Mr. Scampers in the chat got it. Said, Mixie, it's Joe Mixon.
Yeah, I wouldn't have got that.
Absolutely.
So nobody's going to get points.
So
that was a pretty cool celebration with the Vikings, though, Simon. I saw that. That was, and I think that was a defensive player that did that, actually. I think it was like after a pick or something like that. I could be completely wrong, but that's just what I've got in my brain.
That's just what I got in my brain.
I think that could be wrong, but it's what's there.
It's just what's there. So, Jay, you are going to win this round of Quotey McQuote Face today. Well done. 3-1. You are the champion.
Idiot. I'm sorry, Jay. Actually, you know what, Jay? You showed up bright and early, came on here, and you did a great job. I was wildly impressed by the identification of that Kenyon Drake quote.
Thank you.
Just great gamesmanship and gameplay.
Got my kids dressed, got my son to daycare, fed breakfast, and then hold on here and just dominate. So
who got you dressed?
Megan.
Okay, that
checks I lay on the bed and she just does. Never mind.
Just throws the shirt on for you.
Yeah.
Also, Keith coming in with the info said that was the Harrison Smith interception celebration for the Vikings. I knew it was the Vikings. I remember the purple and gold.
It wasn't Dalvin Cook.
It was not Dalvin Cook. It was not Dalvin Cook. I was just trying to think of the most memorable touchdown celebration from this weekend is where I was going.
That was a tough
I
one.
literally could not think of any Vikings defensive players. So Dalvin Cook is exactly who I was going to say. Literally, that was my exact answer, Simon. So.
And Mr. Scampers coming in saying, I like the one player wobbling as the last pin before falling through.
That was good.
It's the small touches like that just make it. The last pin wobbling before it goes down. Guys, coming up, we are going to play some hypothetically and answer your questions, as well as talking through some trade values using our friend Alex Korf, a.k.a. Peaked in High School, a.k.a. Trade Daddy's charts. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
The only person, I've said this to you before, who I believe back then, of all those power hitters who truly was clean, Ken Griffey Jr.
I mean, I think so when he got hurt. We'll never know that for sure either.
No, dude.
We've seen guys who were not big take substances.
That's true.
Get busted. So it's not about that always.
I hear you. It's just, don't you think with the way his career kind of went, you would think that he didn't take anything?
I don't think he did, but we'll never know 100%.
I'm going to keep telling myself that he didn't. The one year player, I mean, he's my favorite baseball player of all time. In the 1990s, Ron, as a kid, as a 5-year-old kid who plays video games and collected cards, there was no one cooler than Ken Griffey Jr. I still wear my hat backwards because Ken Griffey Jr. did it and he looked really cool doing that, wearing a backwards baseball cap. Like, he made everything the guy did looked cool. Even the home run in the movie Little Big League, it's acting, it's all, I guess, fake, but even he made that look cool. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr., you're a little bit older than me, but in the 90s, was there besides Michael Jordan, was there a more loved athlete than Ken Griffey Jr.?
Yeah, no, I love Griffey. He's one of my favorite players ever, from defensively to hitting his swing. And yeah, I would have loved to see what he could have done if he had stayed healthy, the final numbers he'd finished with. So, no, I was a huge fan of Ken Griffey, and it's a shame, though, that all those injuries towards the end of his career just really limited the production he put up, but he still put up elite numbers. He was so fun to watch. So I'm a huge Ken Griffey guy.
And here's the other thing, too. So 1994, the season got shortened because of the strike.
And he finished with 40 homers in 111 games that year, man. And then he had 56 2 years in a row, 97 and 98, and then 48. He had a stretch 4 years in a row, 49, 56, 56, 48, 40. I mean, unbelievable. And then, yeah, once he hit like 31, he started to miss games, 111, 70, 53, 83. So think about that, all those years that he lost, and he still hit 630 home runs, man. Yeah. So if he was clean, he would have been the all-time home run champion. Again, we're all guessing here, but you would think, all right, well, once he got into age 31, 32, that's when the body started breaking out, which is typical, right, for someone who's not using anything, whereas we saw Barry Bonds just get better with age, and we did not see that with Griffey. So look at from 2001 where he's 30 when he played on. Look at the home runs decline. 8, 13, 20, 35, 27, 30, 18, 15 to his age 38 season. Even age 39 in 170 games, he had 19 home runs. So he probably would have definitely been the all-time home run leader had he been able to stay healthy.
Better Sports Network. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to get into one of our favorite games, Hypothetically. But before we do that, I know we had some questions come in the chat that we wanted to hit. Jay, I'll answer some of these questions, right?
We do. We got Nixa in here asking Miles Sanders, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Chris Godwin. This week, bench one of these guys. Which one are you benching?
Read the names for me again. Chris Godwin, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and who else?
Miles Sanders.
Okay, so Chris Godwin is playing the Seattle Seahawks, as we know. Amon-Ra, who do the Lions have this week? I feel like I know this one. The Lions are playing Chicago Bears. And then Miles Sanders. Who do the Eagles got? Philadelphia is playing against the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders.
I think Amon-Ra is a must start, no matter the matchup, with the volume he's seeing. So it's between Sanders and Godwin.
I go Sanders.
Bench Sanders or start Sanders?
Oh, sorry. I would start Sanders. I would bench Godwin.
Yeah. As much as it hurts my soul to say that, I think you're right.
Seattle's secondary has not been bad this year. They haven't been bad this year. So I think they're going to give Chris Godwin a hard time in this game. Tom Brady has not looked great. They were able to piece together a win last week, but yeah, the offense overall has not looked fantastic. They just really narrowly got that win last week.
I was waiting during Quotey McQuote face for Tom Brady in his press conference coming out and just going, well, that was effing awesome.
Yeah.
I thought you were just going to give us a quote, just one line. Well, that was effing awesome. And ask us what it was about. No, I'm with you guys. I think it's Chris Godwin as well. 3 great options. It sucks to throw Chris Godwin on the bench, but if I got to bench one of those guys, it's Godwin.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Let's do it. Let's get into some hypothetically.
Guys, if this is your first time watching us play this game hypothetically, I came up with a bunch of Keith and I came up with some hypothetical questions, philosophical questions, tough scenarios, and I'm going to pose them. And these guys have to first ask any clarifying questions they may have, and then respond to the hypothetical question or situation. And their only job is to just overthink it as much as they can. You guys
I'm good at that. Man, that's my superpower.
You guys are excellent at that, as you will see. All right. The first hypothetically prompted here. Would you rather the Statue of Liberty looks like you or the Statue of David looks like you?
Just the face?
That's exactly right. This is going inside.
Nope.
Okay, so but in the Statue of Liberty, like it's got my physique as well. Then just under, it's probably more hidden because it's under a robe of sorts. Statue of Liberty or Statue of David? So then the Statue of David, it is no longer the Statue of David. Like the Statue of Liberty is still the Statue of Liberty, but it's me. Know what I mean? Like I've got all the parts to it. The Statue of David is now just the statue of Simon, right? Like it's like here's Simon's penis, here's Simon's face, here's Simon's nipples. This is Simon. It's no longer David.
Is that what you see in me when you look at the Statue of David? Immediately, like there's David's penis, there's David's nipples, there's David's face.
No, but just that's the reality of the situation that it's going to be in. It's no longer, oh look, Simon is the statue of David. It's just the statue of Simon. Okay.
So if you go with the Statue of David, the Statue of Simon, the Statue of Jay, do you have to stand there while is this a new statue being commissioned, or is this one that just always has been?
Does it matter? Does it matter?
Yeah, because that obviously takes a while to do. I don't want to stand there
situation
naked.
you're posing, right?
Yeah, but there's a little difference with a little dingling hanging out in one.
I see. So do you have to pose naked or not? Okay, right. I see. Yeah, you do have to pose for these, but it's not an extensive amount of time.
I don't care about posing naked for like one sculptor. Know what I mean? Like that's fine. That's okay. It's then that it's on display for the entire world. Where is the Statue of David?
Italy.
It is in Florence, Italy, at the Accademia Gallery is where the statue
really
of David
think
is.
that if this was happening right now, it would be just one sculptor? It would be live streamed on Twitch, on Twitter,
TikTok,
on TikTok. It
Live.
would be everything. Yeah, it would be all over the place. No question.
So
you and that little tushy.
I guess my follow-up question is like, if I become the statue, is this just accepted by everybody around? Or like, because I could see that as like someone viewing it as destroying history, or is it just the statue as part of its history? The history is edited. It is me. Or do I have to deal with the people that are like, is there going to be an angry mob coming after me for destroying a piece of history and making it look like me instead? Or is that just, it's a coincidence? It looks like me. Like, wow, that is wildly accurate. It looks like Simon.
A mix of the two. So it's not that, wow, it's just that looks a lot like Simon. It is you. Everybody knows it's you, but people aren't necessarily mad at you.
Okay. I hear you.
Maybe some people are mad at you, but whatever. Like, it doesn't affect you.
You know what? I've got my answer. And it's one that's going to be way less disruptive in my life. I know a lot of people who live in New York City, that visit New York City, and I don't want every time they're on that Ellis Island boat taking the tour and looking at it like, oh, look, it's you and the Statue of Liberty, like sending me stupid little jokes. I've known like 2 people ever that have been to Florence. Know what I mean? And I think like one of them didn't even want to wait in line to see the Statue of David, so they just turned around. It's not going to be that many people seeing it. Free the Peach, make me David, and that's where I'm going.
Oh, I love it.
I'm tired of hiding.
Simon going statue of Simon. Jay, what are you doing here?
I'm going with the same, but for a little different reason. Simon, again, like I was talking about, there's plenty of people, even though you don't know people that go to Italy, there's plenty of people that go to Italy, and then we'll post those pictures on the internet. Your friends will find those pictures on the internet. I have no shame. I don't care if people see my little peepee, and I am Italian. I feel like I belong in Florence, Italy. That's where my family originally came from way long ago.
So you're going back to the homeland.
Yeah, back to the homeland.
All right. I respect that.
I would just, my only request is I would like to change the stance. I would like to have the Italian chef in the statue.
The gabagool.
Gabagool.
I see. All right. Well done, guys. Well done on that prompt. I got Jay in the chat. JXC saying, "Hey, morning, guys. Morning, Jay.
What's up, Jay? Welcome in. Just in time for the Statue of David talk."
Yeah, and Tommy says Simon likes Statue of Liberty because people could climb inside him.
You do not know. I do not even like people touching me. I am not a big touch guy. That Tommy, you just made it even more clear that I need to pick the Statue of David here. Yikes. Get out of me. I would get so livid.
all those tourists with their iPads.
Yeah, that's what your friends would do. They send pictures, say, Simon, I'm inside you.
God, just brutal.
Tagged on Instagram all the time. It's just a disruption. All right, guys, let's get into our next prompt here. Would you rather die?
No.
Option A, tandem skydiving with Gronk, or option B, whitewater rafting with Jamal Williams, or option C, riding horses with Devin White. Would you rather die tandem skydiving with Gronk, whitewater rafting with Jamal Williams, or riding horses with Devin White?
You know what, Jay? Thank you so much for putting a prompt about death on a day where I'm already going down
the third existential crisis.
I just wanted to throw that in there. I really appreciate that.
Oh, man, I'm
giving me the little push towards that the third existential crisis.
Welcome
on
to Front Yard Therapy.
Now, with the tandem skydiving with Gronk, am I attached to Gronk? Is he attached to me?
Who's tandem?
Tandem skydiving means you're attached to each other, Jay.
Right, but
I mean, like, who's the front, who's the back?
You're the front, he's the back.
Okay.
That sounds does Gronk have experience? I mean, I guess you die, so the answer is probably no. But my question comes with the Jamal Williams one, because that sounds like a lot of fun. How, like, dying whitewater rafting is quite broad. Do I hit my head on a rock? Am I drowning? What is the mode of my death here? Because drowning sounds terrifying. Being stuck under a rapid, unable to get out, like, no way am I picking that one. Not a chance is that going to be the case if that's how it has to be done.
I'll say to keep it fair, it is an impact injury that causes your death, just because that's how all of them are, right? Skydiving, riding horses, most likely.
Tommy with a great question. Do the athletes perish also, or is it just us? They survive. Like, are we saving them by sacrificing ourselves?
That does make a difference.
You're absolutely saving them by sacrificing yourselves.
And who was I riding a horse with?
Devin White.
Devin White.
NFL's resident equestrian.
Not that I'm picking based on that. I was just curious.
Defensive end for
it sure sounds like you're picking based on that. Tom.
No, I think I'm terrified of horses.
Do you get to spend time with the guys? Because that makes a difference too. Like, I would love to spend an afternoon just talking to Jamal Williams.
Yeah,
maybe go to lunch, go to dinner.
You get a short-term friendship going with each of them, leading to the activity. That's why you're on the activity. This is kind of like your one of your first few adventures with them.
Okay.
So yeah, you get a little time hanging out with them leading up to it. Dustin in the chat said, "I've almost died whitewater rafting. It's not that bad."
Jaylen, I'm a little bit confused about the Gronk one, because like I'm pretty sure Gronk can fly, right? With his Gronk copter. Like he's just gotta get that thing spinning, and then we're taking off and neither one of us dies.
But see, if he's
that's why he's in the back.
On the back, you can't use the Gronk copter.
Gronk copter's all hindered.
It's grounded.
You're blocking it with your booty.
I think Gronk and I can figure it out. I know that wasn't the question, but I think we can unstrap, remaneuver, flip over.
If you want to die from the blades of his Gronk copter, I can make that. I can make that the death because as soon as he starts to get that thing going, he's going to need enough force to get you guys lifted up off in the air, not falling towards the earth. That's a lot.
I have no doubt in my mind he can. I'm so.
I have no doubt either, but you're not getting out of that alive.
Now
you're right there at the danger zone.
With the Jamal Williams, is it something that was caused by him from his touchdown celebration when he's gyrating? I mean, that man can move. Like, does he gyrate? Like, gets excited, stands up, dances, and then just you get launched out and hit a rock? Because I don't want to make him feel guilty, like it's his fault.
That makes sense. No, it's not him. It's not him gyrating that causes he is in fact doing the hip thrust, but that's just part of it's just he's having so much fun, but it doesn't cause the accident.
Okay.
I know which one it's not. I haven't made my final choice, but I know for sure it is not the horse one, because I am terrified of horses from close up. From far away, really? What beautiful animals. But then the closer you get, they are so much bigger than you think they are. And they smell fear. Like, horses know when you're scared. That's a real thing that they do. Like, they know when you're scared and they prey on it. Like, I don't want to be with an animal that senses weakness and then attacks. Like, it's like, I sense weakness, I'm going for it. If I got killed by a horse or riding a horse, my last thought would be, I freaking knew it. Like, I'm like, know what I mean? Like, I do not want to die with that being my last thought.
Son of a bitch.
God, I knew this was going to happen. So it's not the horses for sure. I think Tommy has the right answer for me. He said getting body spiked by Gronk from 10,000 feet would have to be the choice. And I think he's right. I think if that's how you're going to go out, you want Gronk to just full on hey, Gronk, make it glorious. Know what I mean? Like, Gronk, just absolutely, I don't want a shred of evidence
Gronk's
left that I was even attached to you. Just make this harness empty. I want to be dust, one with the ground. And then he just full on body slams you into the ground. RIP.
Weeks later, he just calls up AARP to just talk about his survivor's guilt. It's
and they're like, what's your policy number? He's like, I already told you, it's 7.
It's 7. I mean, are you taking Gronk tandem skydiving? That's how you die?
Yeah, and Keith says you die because instead of packing the parachute, Gronk iced you.
Oh my God.
You pull the cord and he's like, drink it.
Yes. And you're like, Gronk, no.
I'm going to go with Jamal Williams. And the biggest difference for me was that you are saving the NFL athlete. And I feel like, I'd want to tell them, go tell my family I love them, give my wife a hug and a kiss. Jamal Williams, Gronk would just continue to party. Like, he's sorry, dude. And then just go find some other people to go tandem skydive with. And I feel like Jamal Williams still has some good stuff, has a lot to offer this world. Gronk, not so much.
I think you're underselling the phone call Gronk. Like, I think Gronk would call your wife, but I'd be like, hey, Marge, Jake died skydiving today. Sorry. And then he would hang up. Like, it would just be like, he would try his best, but he wouldn't quite remember who it was.
Gronk's bad.
And then he'd stop by the house and ice the mailbox so the next time she has to get the mail.
she has to sit down and drink. Oh, my God. Well done, guys. Well done. We got some questions here in the chat that we're going to answer. Jay asking, he says, I always join in at the farthest talk from football. But quick question. I have Dameon Pierce and wanted to know if I should hold him or try to trade for a receiver. What do you guys think about that?
What does the team look like?
He gave us his team. His running backs are CMC, K9. Who is K9? Is that a nickname? I do
Kenneth
not
Walker?
know.
Is that Kenneth
Kenneth Walker? That could be Kenneth Walker. Is his number
cool
9?
Name. Are we doing that now?
Dameon Pierce, Khalil Herbert, and James Conner. He's got Jaylen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Boyd, Josh Palmer, and Hollywood Brown at the wide receiver positions. Said he's just trying to get ready for the playoffs because the deadline is this week.
That's exactly what you should be doing. If your trade deadline's coming up, you should be trying to see if you can make some moves. Set yourself up for the playoffs. Well done, Jay.
Thank you.
Other Jay.
Oh.
Kenneth Walker is number 9, so I'm guessing that is Kenneth Walker. And if I'm you, Jay, I'm holding on to Dameon Pierce with Khalil Herbert and James Conner as your next 2 backs. Like, I don't want to plug one of them in instead of Dameon Pierce into my starting lineup. And you can start all 3 of these guys in a 2 running back, 1 flex league. And Dameon Pierce has that workload pretty secure in that Houston Texans offense.
Your wide receiver depth really isn't bad. Jaylen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb are both top wide receiver options. Tier, that top tier, that first top 12. And then Tyler Boyd, Joshua Palmer, and Hollywood are great depth. So if you're starting 3 wide receivers, I could understand wanting maybe another piece in there. If you're only starting 2, I think you're set here.
The only way I completely agree with you guys, but the only way I would make this move is if you're looking for, if there's somebody who needs to win now and they've got a significant step up, maybe pair Josh Palmer with Dameon Pierce to get, a top tier running back 1. If they're willing to make that move, they need the depth, something like that. But just an incremental jump isn't worth it, especially, as running backs get hurt left and right. So you don't want to have to start Khalil Herbert or depend on Khalil Herbert or James Conner over the other guys.
Yeah, good call. That is a good thing to add there.
I also wanted to shout out Tommy. He was writing headlines for what the headline would be if that Gronk situation happened. You died skydiving and he body slammed you into the ground. He said 86 by 87.
86 by 8. That's so good.
Tommy, that
well
is
done.
Incredible. That's just unreal. I read that and I was like, oh man, that is top tier. You got to get a career doing
these other ones are really good too. He said Gronkowski robbed of death by Simon. FYF host saves Gronk's life by sacrificing his own. Wound be a hero. And then the 86 by 87 is icing on the cake. Well done. And B-Dub in here saying I'd pair Gronk with Travis Pastrana. Welcome in, B-Dub.
Simon, I know how you would die with Gronk. He was actually trying to teach you the Gronk copter, and you just couldn't get it. And Gronk survived. He was able to do it, and you were sputtering. You couldn't get it going.
You were sputtering.
Just couldn't do it.
I went to do the same exact noise, Simon. Like the same exact noise was about to come out of my mouth, and then I heard it in my ears, and it completely broke my brain. I was like, why am I hearing that? I haven't said it yet.
What else is the sound of sputtering
smoke coming out of your butt?
You somehow did it better than I would have done it too. Like in my head, that's exactly how it sounded, but it wouldn't have sounded that way if it came out of my mouth.
We had another question from JP in here. He said, traded Waller, Gibson, and Miles Sanders for CMC and the Dallas defense. My league is trying to veto this hard. Is it really that unfair? Sent it through trade analyzers and made sure I was at a deficit. No,
it's that's a perfectly fair trade. First of all, it's also, even if it wasn't perfectly fair, it's not something that should be vetoed. It's not obvious collusion.
Yep. As long as both teams were on the up and up and they believe that this makes their team better, should never be a veto.
Yeah,
I agree. This is like, yeah, I want the CMC and Dallas defense side here. Right. There's a very real reason to make the trade on the other side. You have an injured tight end, your running back core is completely depleted, and you can't even have two guys to start. Like, this is, if they're vetoing this trade, then they're just not letting people play with their own teams. That's them saying that they don't trust those managers to make moves for themselves. Tell them, trust us. We can make our own moves. There's no collusion.
Yeah. If Bill O'Brien's allowed to make the trades that he made for the Texans, you should be allowed to make the trades you made in your make-believe game that has,
that is a great. I've never heard that argument for anti-veto, but that's it. You can't say anything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to argue that your fantasy team has higher stakes, or your fantasy league has higher stakes than Bill O'Brien's job.
And none of the other, like John Harbaugh didn't come out and say like, we got to veto this trade. It's completely unfair. It's going to question the integrity of the league. Like Sean McVay wasn't out there like hair spiked up at the press conference going like, I don't know, this just doesn't sit right with me. I don't trust Bill O'Brien to make these moves. You just let them. They're the manager of their own team.
I love the thing that you added about Sean McVay, that he's at the press conference with his hair spiked up. Like that's just a random detail that you added in there. Like
it's every press conference.
Yeah, just hair spiked up.
He's got it. Just setting the visual, setting the mood.
Setting the visual.
It was good, dude. I really could see it.
You were there, weren't you?
I was.
You could smell him. You could smell his gel. Axe got to be spiked.
Phoenix. Axe Phoenix. Which is the smell of my 5th grade locker room. Always. Mm. All right, guys. Let's get into our last hypothetically prompt here. You're secretly stalking Coop on his trip. You hid in one of the checked bags. During the trip, he rejected your trade for Evan Ingram and even said aloud, "Does he think I'm Cupid?" How do you mess with him during his trip as payback?
He said, "Does he think I'm Cupid?" is what he said out loud.
That is what he said out loud. Yes.
So I'm in his checked bag, and we're just assuming like I'm cool in there, right? Like I'm alive, like everything.
Yeah, we're assuming you're alive in there. Yeah.
Okay. Like
that's the prank. Dead body. Well, good luck.
Surprise.
Enjoy European prison, Coop.
I mean, because like I'm just sitting here thinking, like,
one now.
I'm not sure I can survive like a 9-hour flight under like the storage of an airplane. So we're just gonna ignore that and assume I lived, and I'm good.
I was gonna say somehow Simon just checkmated this hypothetically prompt in like 10 seconds. This has got to be a record.
Well, I'm all about throwing away the reality of a situation if we just agree that's the grounds on which this works. I'm alive. We agree. I am alive in the suitcase, though that would be a pretty good way to mess with them.
Now, am I allowed to like send supplies where we're going ahead of time, or do I have to find things where we're at to use? Like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I would say if you have the wherewithal to have planned that ahead of time, you absolutely could have.
Okay.
But you can't just explain it away like, yeah, I shipped a gun to his house. Like, how did you find out where his house was, where he is? You're in a checked bag.
We're in the Grimace Gang together, and if you don't know this, everybody in the Grimace Gang has all personal information available. So I know Craig and Coops and everybody else's social security number, mother's maiden name, addresses, previous houses, bank account information, all that. So we actually know where we all are at all times. And actually, I have on my phone a tracking the information where Coop is at all times. So I can get to him anytime I want to.
Wow. Nice Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah. Just absolutely incredible.
Solid Deus Ex Machina there.
Yes, peach size too. And
I think
absolutely.
I think you have to go subtly. I think you have to mess with him subtly. Like, I think you wait till he falls asleep. You're in the suitcase. You unzip, you come out, and you hide his toothbrush. Like, or just take it. Like, chuck it out the window. He wakes up the next morning. It's the day of vacation. They have a full day ahead of them. And his toothbrush is gone. Like, he swears he had it the night before. I just brushed my teeth. Or, like, while they're sleeping, fill up the bathtub in the hotel room. Know what I mean? Like just like get out, turn on the bathtub, climb back in the suitcase real quick.
Or a horror movie style, mess with them.
Wakes up, the bathtub is full, has no idea what happened. Lay a phantom turd. Know what I mean? Just lay one in the toilet. Let it sit there. No toilet paper on top. Just have it sitting there in the toilet.
And I like where you're going there, but I think you have to really take something where you would only know if you were there, but he doesn't know you're there. So like take the whole Cupid thing, and when they have a reservation as a restaurant, go up there after they go for the reservation, change the name to Cupid. When he's in the shower, go and write on the mirror in the steam Cupid. with that phantom poop, right on the floor. Grab the poop.
Smear
right out.
your feces
Cupid,
all
yep.
Cupid.
You know what I'm doing? I'm assuming in his suitcase, he's got all of his personal belongings that would give me his identifying information, at least at some point. Passport, all these cards. He's there on his honeymoon, and he just rejected my trade for Evan Ingram. I am pissed. I am going to steal his identity and try to annul his marriage while he's on his honeymoon. And that's going to be the payback. And then he's going to get back, think he has this great honeymoon, and he's not even married anymore. Marriage over. Pranked, bro.
Love it. Well done, guys. Well done on this hypothetically prompts. JP in here said, wait, did they answer the questions yet? Yes, we did. We did answer your question. Said, no, it's totally fair. Totally fair trade, and your league should not be vetoing anything like that.
Never veto.
Yeah, but rewind 3 minutes, and you'll hear our whole spiel on it. Hear our whole spiel.
We did just hit it. Guys, coming up, we are going to answer your questions. So please, if you've got fantasy questions, throw them in the chat. We want to answer any and everything that you guys may throw at us. And then after that, we are going to talk some trade values and targets using our friend Peaked in High School's trade value charts, running through some of the biggest changes and maybe some players that you should be targeting here at your trade deadline. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Front Yard Fantasy, weekday mornings at 7 Eastern.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just banning the porn bots real quick.
Whenever the porn bots, I will say, dude, whenever the porn bots show up, it means we're doing something good. It means that we're showing up. So, they wouldn't find us if we weren't, if the live stream wasn't good. So you know what? We welcome you here. Tinder-hot-.xyz-best of adult dating site. One of our biggest fans.
I'd attach all of my self-worth to how many porn bots come into our show in the morning. If we don't get any porn bots, I go the rest of the day thinking like, what did I do wrong? Why didn't Tinder-xyz.com want to hang out with me this morning?
Yeah. People ask, how was the show? I'm like, not that good.
No porn bots.
Porn bots showed up.
Moose and Keith, weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Because I never asked you this. When Noah was growing up, when did Noah first where you got a sense that this is what my son wanted to do?
I was really busy during his formative years. I didn't meet Noah till he was about 19.
Nice. So your wife did a good job.
Yeah, you may want to talk to him. I would say about he started showing a legitimate interest. He started getting curious about how I prepared, what it required, and then I saw a little bit of a shift, 14, 15, where he was concentrating on the on-cameras, the interaction between play-by-play and analyst, and started probably taking mental notes at that point of the performance aspect of, okay, you do all this prep, but you got to go out and deliver it. So, yeah, probably that 14, 15 range, I thought to myself, this could be something he really wants to do.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
Yeehaw! Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. It's in the game.
Auto game.
Ow! Now we're just mixing up all
now you're just getting crazy.
Just getting a little wild with our auto parts commercials. Why do they all have like really memorable slogans?
Because
Trust the Midas touch.
Feel like you answered your own question.
Exactly.
But I feel like not all categories of brands consistently have like catchy slogans. You know what I mean?
They don't nail it, but they try.
They try. But the auto companies, like I remember so many of them. O'Reilly's Auto Parts, AutoZone, Midas, Napa. What are you doing? Step your game up.
You know what recent commercials been getting me is the Burger King one, and they play it constantly with all the NFL games and stuff. It's like something Whopper, something Whopper. It just gets stuck in my head constantly.
Just with those words though, it's just going
no Whopper.
No Whopper. So you just sit down like singing along, The one that's been getting me, like the other day, usually I like tune out commercials. I don't look up, but like my girlfriend and I both looked up. It's the FanDuel one where they like talk about you're making bets every day, all day with all your decisions. And then they pick up the hitchhiker, and it's like, well, like the odds that he's going to kill you, the odds that he's going to harvest your organs, and it's like the odds that he is a prodigy cornhole player, and then he's out there laying on his back, chucking cornhole shots up, and I love that one. That one gets me. I don't know why. It's funny.
That's a good one. I was thinking of there's like a one they're playing constantly in Maryland right now because they're sports betting bet is about to go live, mobile sports betting more specifically, and it's just like more is more. It's the whole commercial, and they say it over and over again. More is more. Okay, I guess more is more.
You know what the greatest commercial of all time is, and it's not like I'm not saying an opinion here. No, that's the worst commercial of all time. The greatest commercial of all time is the Kmart one, where they were telling you that like you could order pants that they didn't have in the store, and they would send them to you. And the slogan was, "You can ship your pants." And they just like, "Oh my god, you can ship your pants." I just shipped my pants. And they're just over and over screaming, "I just shipped my pants. You can ship your pants. The whole family can ship their pants."
That is
and like
just excellent commercial.
It's
You're gonna have to go. That's a good one. But if you guys remember the old Quiznos commercial with like those little creatures, might be a little before you thought like, "Hey, Quiznos subs," and they're like little potatoes that have big old eyes. And I'll have to. It stuck with me. That's
your favorite?
High school. That's my favorite.
Interesting. I like it.
I'll have to find it.
What's that? I was supposed to do it.
No.
No. I was like, yeah, we're talking best commercials. What's that?
Also, Dustin saying his son sings that Whopper song all the time, and it drives
so annoying.
him nuts.
So annoying.
I haven't seen that one. Well, sounds like it's a good thing I have not.
Gucci in here asking, should I trade Mark Andrews for DeAndre Hopkins? I'm okay with making that trade. Mark Andrews, there's a lot of risk associated with him right now. If this injury lingers and is something that hinders him the rest of the season, it's gonna look bad if we didn't make this trade. But if he is healthy and he ends up just playing throughout the season, then it's probably still looks pretty fair. Like DeAndre Hopkins is playing out of his mind right now. So I'm probably making this trade. If you have some sort of tight end depth and it doesn't put your team at a disadvantage if Andrews does go off.
This is wildly team dependent for me. Like this is so team dependent for me. Do you need that wide receiver? Is DeAndre Hopkins really upgrading it? And who do you have in the wings at tight end? Do you have David Njoku on IR who's coming back from injury? You know what I mean? Then like, honestly, I'm cool with this. Like I'm cool with making this move, but you got to have someone that like was consistently producing or is consistently producing ready to go in order to make this move. Because Andrews is overall a big plus for your team, gives you a positional advantage every single week he plays. But man, it's fair. I think it is a fair trade. That is so fair.
It's a fair deal. I wouldn't do it. I would rather have the positional advantage at tight end. You know, D-Hop is going nuts right now, but Marquise Brown will be back. Like, it's not that I think that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be good, but that ceiling might just drop down just a little bit. And like you said, I mean, if you've got a very viable replacement, I wouldn't feel comfortable with Njoku. I would need somebody a little more consistent than that. There's just such a big advantage of having a guy like Mark Andrews at tight end.
So
I feel like David Njoku was consistent whenever he was in, though. Like I know that wasn't the question, but whenever we look at it, like he had, what was it in his weeks? Like first 2 weeks were fairly rough, but then tight end 2, tight end 14, tight end 6, tight end 17, tight end 5. Like whenever you're looking at tight ends outside of Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, that's about as good as it gets, right? Like that's about as good as you can ask for. Is like any given week, he can be a top 3, top 5 tight end. And when he's not, he's usually still like right outside that tight end 1 range, like still doing all right for your team.
Yeah, I was going to pull up his target data, but yeah, that is very promising. This like averaging around 7 targets a game is very solid for a tight end.
I think I think he was more consistent than people realize, and then he got hurt. Like I think he was just getting to that area where people starting to trust him, like Evan Ingram got to that. Like Evan Ingram passed that threshold. I think Njoku was getting there before he got hurt.
And he's got Deshaun Watson coming back later in the season, which is gonna, I think, boost all of the skill position players on that team.
Yeah,
I don't know how we started talking about Njoku though. We were talking about Mark Andrews. We got Weather in here saying, hey guys, I wanted to ask who the 2 guys I should start out of these running backs: Raheem Mostert, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Walker, or Jonathan Taylor. Which 2 of them are you starting?
Shout out Weather.
Shout out Weather. Love your work.
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you're kind of a
Could you do me a favor? We're supposed to get hit with the hurricane later in the week. Could you just make that not happen?
But you're a Hurricanes fan.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to get hit with the Hurricanes. I like to go watch the Hurricanes.
That's fair.
In this question, the slam dunk one for me is Kenneth Walker. With Jonathan Taylor still banged up, questionable with his ankle injury, I'm not sure I want to plug him in. And with the Colts, just like with all but saying it, publicly confirming that they're doing a full-on tank job, hiring Jeff Saturday, naming Sam Ehlinger still the starter after what we've seen, I'm nervous that Jonathan Taylor doesn't get it back. Like, why risk the health of the best player on their team in a season that they're tanking anyways? Like, I'm really nervous about Jonathan Taylor. So Kenneth Walker's a slam dunk, and then it's probably DeAndre Swift if he's healthy. Like, if he's healthy and playing, it's DeAndre Swift.
Yep, I'm with you, Simon. Kenneth Walker, DeAndre Swift for me.
Yep, clean sweep.
And poor Nathaniel, I know, poor JT. What a bust this year, man. Nathaniel asking, should I trade Melvin Gordon for Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I mean, pick your poison.
Their trade value charts.
You're going to be disappointed either way, probably. I think I'll take the one in the better offense and go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They're both splitting carries. I'll take the one that's on a team that's more likely to score a touchdown.
They are quite literally exactly the same trade value, according to Alex's
Checks
trade
out.
value
Makes
charts.
sense.
12 trade value points here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire losing 5 over since this past week, from last week to this week to change. Melvin Gordon gaining 1.5 points. So the trending slightly up for Melvin Gordon here.
I would think I'd rather have the CEH over Melvin Gordon just because there is still that slight chance of upside with CEH if he's ever able to put it together. Melvin Gordon at this point in his career, I mean, he's solid yet unspectacular, especially with this offense struggling. They just traded for Chase Edmonds, so he could lose some work to him as well. Yeah, I mean, I'm not excited about having either of these guys, but I would like you said, better offense, younger,
better pizza, Papa John's,
better ingredients.
You son of a gun.
Papa John's, shout out to the worst of the popular pizzas. Just wanted to
Don't get us started on this. Don't get us started on this. You're
you
wrong.
mean Pizza Hut?
No.
Yes, that is what you meant. That is what he meant. Nicolade in here asking, I just dropped Kmet for a streaming defense this week. Should I drop Duvernay instead? Yeah, I would drop Duvernay. He's not a factor really in this offense. Even when he has the opportunity, he hasn't been able to turn that into anything outside of some big break off plays. But Cole Kmet, I'm not that hyped on either. But if you need a tight end who is going to have touchdown upside week in, week out, I'd rather have him than Duvernay.
I think I'm with you. I guess it depends. Like, do you have Travis Kelce? Then you're literally never starting Cole Kmet. Ever. Know what I mean? If you've got Travis Kelce, then I would drop Kmet. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But because Duvernay has those blow games, he is startable. You can plug him in and hope for that. But that's what you're hoping for, right? It is a boom bust, high risk, high reward type of play usually.
And
he says he has Schultz.
Yeah, has Schultz.
Then I'm comfy. Less comfy than with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I'm still not probably playing Kmet over Schultz most of the time.
Schultz hasn't been that great though this year, has he? I'm going to look it up, but I don't
he's been better more recently. So I think he had a good week this past week, and Dak Prescott coming off this injury, I think he's trending upward.
Yeah, last 2 weeks,
tight end 54, tight end 16, tight end 9. So yeah, with hopefully he's been able to get healthy. He's been dealing with some injuries as well, but yeah, I think I'm with you. I'd rather have Cole Kmet in case Dalton Schultz does get injured again, doesn't turn it on like he did. And Cole Kmet, this Bears offense continues to improve and lives up to the hype that everybody thinks is possible with Cole Kmet.
Yeah. Squirrel Bob saying Pacheco season.
I mean, it's a season in the same way that we get winter here in San Antonio. Know what I mean?
Like a cool 60 degrees.
It got really chilly today. We dip below freezing one time. Pacheco has a big game. And then it's just going to be back to 65 degree weather and everyone pretending like it's winter. All the Pacheco fans are going to have their hats and scarves on, ready for Pacheco season to hit. And then it's just going to be you're going to have to take your scarf off about 10 minutes into your walk to work.
Yeah.
Sounds oddly specific, Simon.
Exactly.
Hey, I'm not a scarf guy, so that wouldn't be specific to me, but I imagine that's how it would work. How can it be a scarf guy? The furthest north I've ever lived is Clemson, South Carolina.
I didn't say it was you. I said it sounds like a story. It sounds like.
Oh, sorry. My indignation was not targeted at you. It was just targeted at that's the furthest north I've ever lived.
Yeah.
I can't do scarves either. I don't like stuff around my neck.
I don't like stuff around my neck.
I don't.
Jay's threatened to buy a scarf.
I just don't like the way it feels. Like even like
scarf might try and choke you. Dustin in here said best national chain to get pizza, Costco.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Costco's
no, he's wrong. It's good. It's nowhere near the best.
I don't know that,
but it is good.
It's pretty decent. It is, as far as like fast food pizza goes. It's pretty decent.
Yeah, it is good. I used to work at Costco.
Like we're talking national chains. What national chain has better pizza than Costco?
Blaze Pizza.
Papa John's.
Oh, I disagree. I disagree with any of the like Moe's style create your own pizzas. They're second rate whenever they make them on the spot. Yeah, Sbarro's.
That's not a national chain. That's a New York. That's a New York City place.
You're right. You're right. My apologies.
I think it's Costco.
Domino's.
Guys, if you have more questions for us, make sure to throw them in the chat. We are more than happy to answer those for you. And a reminder for everyone watching, if this is your first time joining us, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. We're glad to be hanging out with you, and hopefully you're glad to be spending some time with us. This is the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. We are FYF. And if you're enjoying this experience, which is what it is, head on over to our YouTube channel and make sure you're subscribed to Front Yard Fantasy over there, because you can relive this experience over and over and over again.
It's immersive. It's a very immersive experience, but pleasant.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
That's
Weather in here had another question for us. He said, what are your guys' opinions on Deshaun Watson for fantasy? I've been picking him up as my backup QB this week because of his possible upside over someone like Daniel Jones. So, Jay, how do you feel about that move as his suspension is coming to an end?
Yeah, I think it's a good move. I think now is the time that if you were going to stash Deshaun Watson, now's the time to do it. He's a talented quarterback who's coming back for fantasy purposes. He very well could just looking at rest of the season, whenever he does come back, could finish as a top 5 guy. He has that sort of upside. So I think it's a smart move to get him. And if nothing else, keep him away from your opponents, your league mates.
Absolutely. He's coming back from suspension. He's a great quarterback, and he's probably primed for fantasy success over Daniel Jones or over Marcus Mariota.
Can't do what Deshaun Watson does.
So I'm picking him up and holding him. I think that's a good move for fantasy if he's sitting there on the waiver wire.
Yep. Urban asked to trade away Ertz for Andrews.
Yes.
Yeah, if you can do it.
Yeah,
Ertz did have a decent week, but they're still way far apart.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. Somebody's win now. Mark Andrews might not play. Ertz has looked pretty decent. Yeah, if you just can do it all day.
Look, and I'm using maybe we can get a link sent in the chat here. But looking at the trade value charts, Zach Ertz has 23 tier 5, 23 trade value points. He's jumped up 7 in the last week. Mark Andrews lost 5 trade value points from last week to this week, but he's still tier 3 with 45 trade value points. So there's still a pretty big gap in between these two guys. So if you can make that trade, go for it.
Now I guess the only caveat would be if Andrews isn't playing this week and you need a tight end, and you don't have there is that cost, right? Like if Andrews doesn't suit up this week, is injured, and you have to pick someone else up. But that being said, I think it's worth it unless you're in a position where you need to win this week, right? Like if you need to win and Andrews isn't going to play, Zach Ertz is much better than picking up Tyler Conklin or Will Dissly off the waiver wire to plug in.
Yep.
Unless JL starts Will Dissly, because every time JL starts Will Dissly, he scores a touchdown.
Dude, I'm the Dizzle Whisperer.
Are you starting him this week, Mr. Dizzle Whisperer?
Whistler.
Dizzle
Whisperer. Let me sense the vibes. No, I'm definitely not. Absolutely not. It's a terrible week.
Yeah, then you don't want to start Will Dissly.
Who are the Seattle Seahawks playing anyway?
The Buccaneers, right? Or am I remembering that incorrectly?
I think that's right.
It is.
I think that is.
I think
right.
it is the Buccaneers.
9:30. That's a Germany game.
Oh, I forgot about the Germany game. Oh no, I'm excited. That'll be cool.
Oh no!
No, that's awesome.
Every Sunday, whenever those games are happening, I wake up and I'm like, "Oh shoot, I forgot again!" Because the night before, I'm like, "Oh, I'll just do it in the morning." I'll
wake up, I'll be fine.
And then I don't. I always lie to myself about what I actually want to do in the morning. The real answer is nothing before what I have to.
Go back to sleep.
Sleep is the real answer. Philly Mac in here had a question. Said PPR thinking about trading Jefferson for a running back. Who would you target? CMC, Henry, or Chubb? These are guys I may be able to get. I also have Lamb, D-Hop, Juju, Sutton, and Lazard. Yeah. Yes is my answer, Philly Mac.
CMC
trading
in that, I guess, in that order.
Christian
Chubb and
McCaffrey,
Henry
Derrick Henry, Chubb.
Yeah, but that's
I'm
the
with
order
you,
I
Dale.
get.
I don't know. Unless you really need a running back bad, only guy I would do it for is CMC.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson is as consistent as they get. I mean, in the argument for wide receiver 1 overall, who knows what's going to happen? I love Nick Chubb, but if Deshaun Watson comes in and is throwing the ball a lot more, maybe he's not getting as much rushing work. Derrick Henry, he's looked like a stud, but is he going to be able to stay healthy? Giving up a guy like that, Justin Jefferson, especially, you'd have Lamb, D-Hop. Lamb hasn't been what everybody expected him to be this year. DeAndre Hopkins, Marquise Brown is coming back. That ceiling might fall just a little bit. I would rather that consistency out of Justin Jefferson myself, unless you can get CMC.
Man, I'm just looking at your other wide receivers, and it looks like this would upgrade your team pretty big. Like Lamb, D-Hop, Juju. I think Lamb's solid rest of the season. I think his volume is pretty safe in this offense. DeAndre Hopkins, I know you said Marquise Brown is coming back, but he should still be the one here. And then between the other three guys, Juju, Sutton, Lazard, you can play matchups, and you're pretty happy. Adding CMC, Henry, or Chubb ups your game so much.
Austin Eckler, I would do as well.
Yeah, just throw Eckler in there. I would do that too. And it looks like maybe the trade value charts have Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry both above of Justin Jefferson. Christian McCaffrey a full 10 points above him. Derrick Henry only 7 points above him. And then Nick Chubb is about 4.5 points below Justin Jefferson. But all of them in that tier 1. Each one of them in that tier. So that chart kind of saying all of these are fair. They all make sense. Like they're in that same tier. And if you're looking to upgrade running back, all of those players make sense for you. The other name to add in there is probably Saquon Barkley as another running back that you could target for Justin Jefferson.
That's a good one too.
Guys, coming up, we are going to go over Alex's trade value charts. Our friend Peaked in High School. We've got the link in the BSN chat and over in our YouTube chat. So open that up, take a peek, and any questions you have, any trade questions, throw them in the chat. We would love to run through them with you guys. Right now, you're listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network.
Better Sports Live with Rick Kamla at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific on Better Sports Network.
Andy Reid is the best current coach in the NFL. He's better than Belichick. Belichick has lost his way. He's better than Tomlin. He's better than Harbaugh. He's better than Shanahan. He's better than McCarthy down in Dallas. He's better than all of the gangster NFL coaches right now. Sean McDermott up in Buffalo, he's better than all these guys. Andy Reid is the greatest gangster that we have at head coach in the NFL right now. And I understand that you're saying, well, Belichick is the GOAT, Cam. How can that be true? Now you're bringing up old stuff. Bill Belichick can't draft anymore, okay? Talk to me. Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. Talk to me. DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel versus N'Keal Harry. Okay, talk to me. This dude has lost his way. Remember the year when he should have bottomed out and just tanked, but he couldn't, and he went and got Cam Newton, and they were a mediocre team, right? He's lost his way. And not that he can't coach up a good defense and that kind of thing, but overall, he's lost his way. Andy Reid's an absolute badass. They draft great. He's a great coach, makes the right decisions, when to go for it, when to kick, when to punt. The guy's the man.
The Playbook with Fensty and Ronis, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
I hate the stupid unsportsmanlike conduct. As long as you're not disrespectful to the opponent, you should be allowed to celebrate.
How I used to say it, and to bring up, because now basketball's starting to bring up personal.
Oh, dude, it's even worse than basketball, isn't it?
So Dikembe Mutombo, who used to get teed up in the 2000s, in the 90s, they didn't give a crap. 2000s, though, when they tightened up the rules, they used to tee him up more when he did the Dikembe finger wag. But they wouldn't tee him up if he did it to the crowd instead of looking at like Eton Thomas, like one time I remember, and doing it right to him, or when his back was turned, doing it right to him. If he did it to the crowd, they would never call it. And so that makes me wonder if these players, while, yeah, they want to talk a little smack, maybe they should flex towards the crowd than at the player who they're standing over.
I guess.
I know it's soft, man.
It is soft.
Because you know what?
Like we're gonna give 15 yards for that,
bro. They think that, you know, want to know why they're paranoid? They think that's gonna turn into a fight.
See, I disagree with that. That's not going to start a fight.
I agree with you. They don't agree with us.
It's one thing, okay, if you spit in someone's face or say something derogatory, like about their family or something,
right?
Yeah, that can incite you. But if you're just like, yeah, I made that play, what? You know what I mean? Like, again, they know the rules. You got to know you're going to get flagged. You have to have discipline. But like, I don't know. I have no problem with celebration as long as it's not disrespectful.
What's disrespectful? You know,
it's interpretation, and that's my problem. Watch, it's going to cost someone in a big playoff game, and that's when people are going to go crazy. There'll be a third down play. Someone makes a pass breakup, and they're in someone's face. They're going to throw a flag. It'll extend the drive. That team scores, wins the playoff game because of it. You need something drastic for it to really leave an imprint, and I hope that doesn't happen to mine.
Better Sports Network is betting, fantasy, collectibles. It's sports talk done better.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We are about to break into the Trade Daddy's trade charts himself, go over some changing values, answer your trade questions. And guys, if you're watching this, if these trade value charts are helpful for you, make sure you go check out our friend Alex on Twitter, the creator of these. He's on Twitter at PeakedInHS_FF. That is PeakedInHS_FF. And the link to his Patreon is right there. So check out the charts on his site. If you like what you see there, go and sub to his Patreon. You get early access to the charts. You get access to his Discord as well, where you can ask him questions directly. And you get all the extra charts, all the juicy stuff that he's putting out there that isn't publicly on his Twitter. JL, how are you doing? You enjoying these charts?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the best out of them.
Just absolutely loving them. We had some questions come in the chat, JL. A couple trade questions. There was one non-trade question before we get to the trade. Randy wanted to know, are you confident starting the Seahawks defense versus Tampa? So, Joe, the Seahawks defense going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have been struggling recently offensively. Are you comfortable starting the Seahawks against that Bucs offense?
Yeah, they have been struggling. It is worth noting that at any time we could see Tampa Bay turn it back on. Like they, an offense led by Tom Brady. I don't think it's going to be bad for that long. He's just one of the most talented players that has ever played the game. That being said, I don't know if this week is going to be the week. I think Seattle or the Seattle, right? You asked me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think going against Tampa Bay is in this situation. Seahawks haven't been playing well enough. I would probably start another defense. I think you should be able to stream another defense that's probably better than them this week.
I think it's a fine start, but not one that I'm excited about. Like I'm not locking it in. I am looking at the waiver wire to see if the Steelers are out there going up against New Orleans, seeing if the
Giants against Houston, Bills against Vikings.
The Raiders might be out there because their defense has not been great, but they're going up against the Colts this week, coached by Jeff Saturday with Sam Ehlinger at quarterback. Like I'd rather start the Raiders against the Colts than the Seahawks against Tampa Bay.
That's a good point.
What about you, Jay?
So I was expecting to agree with you guys, and looking at the Seahawks are a top 5 fantasy defense. They've got a lot of sacks over the past 3 games, 5 sacks, 3 sacks, forced fumbles. I think I'm okay with it. They're not somebody I'm looking to force into my lineup, but they've been a lot better. Only 3 games that they really did not do well. Weirdly enough, against Atlanta, New Orleans, Detroit makes sense, but they've got some pretty big games. I think I like Seattle, especially again, the way that they're getting it after the quarterback. Tampa Bay's offensive line is struggling. I think it's a solid play.
Jay, I went sorted by points per game because I was like, well, the Seahawks haven't had their bye. This is really going to prove a point. And then they drop all the way from top 5 to top 6 whenever you start by points per game.
Big boys.
So to your point, Jay, they have been performing well so far this year.
I was very shocked. I was 100% with you guys. I thought that they were not that great of a defense, but they're playing pretty well, getting after the ball.
That being said, I still think I'd rather start the Raiders against the Colts. I am just targeting that Colts team this week.
There's a bunch of other options that I would be more excited about this week.
We had another question in here related to the Buccaneers. Weather wanted to know, do you guys have any confidence in Godwin and Mike Evans in Tampa? I have both on my team as a wide receiver 1 and 2. Mike Evans is the easier one to answer. Yeah, I'm pretty confident. He's a top 12 PPR wide receiver right now. He's going to have some bad games, but you got to plug him in there. Chris Godwin's been disappointing, even though he's been getting the volume. Like he's getting like 10, 11 targets a game since he's been back, but dude's barely been a wide receiver 2 in that time frame. I don't even know what are his last finishes. Last week, wide receiver 25. 26 the week before, 32 the week before that, 21, 29, and 28. So living in that high-end wide receiver 3 territory for the most part. That being said, like between your wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2, you've got a wide receiver 1 and what should be a wide receiver 2 in Chris Godwin. So I'm cool with it. It's not the high upside pair that it has been in the past, but it's startable.
Yeah, the thing about Chris Godwin and getting all those targets is that, like, I want to follow whenever I'm trying to make a decision about a player, I'm looking at their target share and their usage, and I'm comparing that to what has the performance been like. And when you see a player like Chris Godwin with all of those targets, all these games, but still finishing outside wide receiver 3 or as a wide receiver 3, he's got a 21% target share in this offense. He's getting 33% of the wide receiver target share. It's just not turning into touchdowns, and it's not the offense isn't moving well enough for that to turn into big time fantasy points. I think variance will hit here. I think Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are going to be fine. These are the 2 top targets on this offense, and I think Tom Brady's going to start to play better in the second part of the season. So I'm confident throwing them in week in, week out. It's just this is the game we play.
Jay, are you got confidence in starting both Bucs receivers?
I don't. I'm a little more concerned about the Buccaneers offense, and the big thing is the offensive line. They've dealt with people retiring, injuries. Tom Brady starting to look like father time is winning against him. If this was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense of past couple of years, I'd be perfectly fine. But I'm with you, Simon. I'm very confident in Mike Evans because he seems to be the top option. But I would not be surprised if we find out by the end of the season that Chris Godwin has still been hurt this whole time. I think he's forcing himself on the field. This could potentially be Brady's last season. They're not playing well. They need something. Russell Gage has been a disappointment. I'm not confident in Chris Godwin. And I love Chris Godwin. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in the entire league, but something's just not right.
Yeah, I think the confidence is less in him. Master in here wanted to know, Master Samuel, Master Samurai. That does not say Samuel. Wow. Master Samurai in the chat said, I traded Ertz for Mooney. You think that was dumb? He said, I need a wide receiver for this week. Also, I have Dulcich and feel super confident in him. Jail, how do you feel about this trade for Master Samurai?
I'm looking at the trade value chart. Zach Ertz is he's tier 5, very bottom tier 5 at 23 trade value points. Darnell Mooney is tier 8, which is around 9 trade value points. So there's a decent gap there. You probably could have got a better wide receiver. Wide receivers, this is 1 QB PPR league, which is what the settings I'm looking at here. Zach Ertz his trade value is around Deontay Johnson, Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman, Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, Devontae Smith. And I think all of us would agree that we'd rather have all those guys over Darnell Mooney rest of the season.
Yeah, I like Darnell Mooney. That being said, yeah, you gave up value. Not the best trade, but I think it's fine with you having Greg Dulcich in the wings. Like, I really do. I think you can trust Greg Dulcich rest of season, and this could have upgraded your team. Like, I don't know what your other wide receivers are, but Darnell Mooney's probably better than a 0 if you say you needed a wide receiver. Dude is the top target on this team on a Bears offense that has been playing better and is going against the Detroit Lions this week. Like, sometimes you just got to manufacture wins. And if you needed that wide receiver, I'm cool with this trade, especially with the matchup that Darnell Mooney has this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Fully agree with
Could
that,
be a
Tom.
situation where there was nobody else. This is the only thing that made sense in the entire league. A 10-team league. Everybody else is pretty much set at tight end. This is the only guy who needed a tight end, and that's all they'll give up. Sometimes you do have to take a little bit less value in order to improve your team. So I agree with you. I would much rather have any of those other guys, JL, but don't be afraid to take just a little less if you're going to improve your team.
Absolutely. Let's dive into these trade value charts, guys.
Let's do it. I was just looking at this. There were some players that jumped out at me immediately of players that have just lost significant value over the last couple of weeks. And as we're approaching this trade deadline, those are the ones that jump out at me. Like, pay attention. Is it falling because their value is going to continue to decline, or is this a dip that maybe you should buy into at the last second? And the one that comes to mind right away is Josh Jacobs, who's lost 9.5 points in this trade value chart. Back at the back end of tier 2 now, sitting there at 52 trade value points. I think this might be an opportunity to go and trade for Josh Jacobs. He's one of the few backs in the league that's getting that full workload. He's had a disappointing last 2 weeks after absolutely killing it through the first 7 weeks of the season. I would be trying to target Josh Jacobs right now if managers are down on him after the last 2 weeks. If they think, oh, this is just a bad Raiders team, Jacobs won't be good anymore. Because I think he's going to have plenty of good games. He's still getting the volume.
Absolutely. He's still got 17 carries the past week. Week before, only 10 carries. But that game, they got shut out by the New Orleans Saints. Week before, 20 carries. Week before that, or before the bye, 21, 28. Like, he is getting a ton of attempts. I fully agree with that, Simon. He strikes me as a massive value right now.
Seems like an overreaction to drop him 9.5 points. I know it's 2 weeks in a row now, but like, look at the work. You just got to follow the work, right?
So look at this. His fantasy playoff schedule here is he's got the Rams, New England, Pittsburgh, and then San Francisco in week 17. So that is a decently difficult playoff schedule for him.
Yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at in that playoff schedule. But if he's getting 20 carries, it doesn't matter if the Rams are on the other side of the ball, right?
Could be.
And to that point, like, he's performed against good defenses as well. Like, whenever they played Denver in week 4, he was the PPR running back 2 on the week, and that Denver defense is fantastic. Like, as much as we crap on the Denver offense, no one's saying that that's a bad Denver defense. They've been phenomenal this year. And he's still the RB2 that week. Like, he's the kind of player where I'm not necessarily scared off from a bad matchup. I think he can perform. It's just you want to avoid games like that New Orleans game if they're going to get shut out. But that was an anomaly. That was a weird game.
Name that stuck out to me that continues to drop is Jonathan Taylor. He's all the way down at tier 4. You know what? Scared money don't make money. Would you guys take a shot at Jonathan Taylor at that? You know, let's say your team, you know, you're loaded at running back and Miles Sanders is your third running back. You know, he was pretty much free in leagues. It's a realistic opportunity. Amari Cooper's another guy who was around that price, around that point threshold, that was practically free, that you might be able to give an excess. You guys take the shot on Jonathan Taylor? I mean, I know we're all concerned that he could get completely shut down. I am as well, but you know, maybe that's a risk worth taking.
You said scared money don't make money, but also going down with the ship doesn't save the ship. Know what I mean? Like just
money don't make money neither.
Refusing to give up on a sinking ship just means you're going to go down with it. I don't think I'm making that move. That fear is too big for me, and the cost is still going to be too high to acquire him. Know what I mean? I'm probably not trading my wide receiver 3 or 4 at this point in the season. I'm probably trading a piece that I'm really relying on to get Jonathan Taylor. You're not getting him for a bench piece. So I get what you're saying. Like, his value is way lower than it was at the beginning of the season. Like, we're not looking at having to trade a Cooper Kupp for Jonathan Taylor, but man, you're still trying to trade a DK Metcalf and Amari Cooper. Like you said, these are guys that are contributing week in, week out. And there's a real chance we don't see that from Jonathan Taylor again this season.
Yeah. And I like the point you made, Simon, about like there are guys who are contributing now, but also now I expect them to take a step up, right? Miles Sanders, great offense. I expect that offense to keep rolling. I want that throughout the season. I want someone who's trending up. DK Metcalf getting way more of a factor recently in fantasy, playing really well in that offense. Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson coming back later in the season. He's the clear de facto number 1. So like, I agree with you, Simon. The risk with those guys is just a little bit less, and it's good risk.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, and for the record, I agree with you guys. It was just some conversation to be had. Somebody, something that people could be considering buying low on Jonathan Taylor.
For sure. Scottfish that just got here. Restart the show. You got it. Simon, from the top.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show. I forget the first thing we talked about: chest, anal beads, and chicken parts. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
You're caught up, Scott.
Buzz.
Buzz. B7.
Buzz, mother trucker. B7. Yeah, I wonder, there's a lot of squares on a chessboard. He probably had to sit there waiting, okay, that was 14 buzzes or 15 buzzes.
Imagining Morse code, like you're just talking in Morse code through vibrating anal beads.
Morse code is I've tried before to get an understanding of it, and my ears aren't tuned for it. I can't do it. The dots and the dashes aren't different enough. I'm so confused every time.
Yeah, that's fair.
you ever tried to earnestly learn Morse code?
I did this weird like programming challenge where you had to like translate Morse code, but I've never tried to like listen and learn it. You know what I mean? Like I learned it visually.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Yeah, I tried to like auditorily learn it just for fun one day, and it did not go well.
Yeah, I don't think I do that very well. Just know myself.
Master Samurai, and you're saying, love your show, gentlemen. You guys are good together. I'll be back. Thank you so much, Master Samurai.
You, my friend.
Appreciate you stopping in and
Great
appreciate
questions.
the questions.
Yeah, we love good questions. That's what we're here for. Help you guys out. Be of service.
So Scott said, same, Simon. Mine isn't not understanding. I just can't process it fast enough in my head. I'm with you, Scott.
I think I would be the same way, just knowing myself. Some other names that stuck out in this trade value chart. Jeff Wilson hopped 11.5 trade value points this week. Zach Ertz +7, Cordero Patterson +9.5, DK Metcalf +9, as we mentioned.
Where did Jeff jump to? Like, where is Jeff on this chart? Did
Jeff
he jump high up?
Top of tier 7, 15.5 is the trade value that he has. He's right around TJ Hawkinson, Lamar Jackson, and 1 QB league, Alan Lazard. Right below, wow, Khalil Herbert is higher than him. That's kind of interesting. Raheem Mostert is still higher than Jeff Wilson, but just slightly. I would rather have Jeff Wilson. Kareem Hunt is a little bit above him.
I wouldn't be shocked next week if they have even comparable games. Like the trends are going opposite directions, right? Jeff Wilson up 11.5, Raheem Mostert down 6 points. Like it seems like these are trajectories, not just where they're done moving. Assuming results this week are similar to last week's, then I bet Jeff Wilson's above Raheem Mostert next week in these trade value charts.
I bet that's right.
You've talked about him as a potential league winner. I'm a little bit more nervous about the ambiguity of this backfield, but I've seen lots of people share your sentiment. He came in week 1 and was the lead back in his first week on this offense. Do you think now still his value's gone up 11.5 points? So this might be a trade high. Know what I mean? Like his value is rising. Is he still a player that you're trying to target given his current value?
Yeah, I think at that price point, he's definitely worth it for the upside in this offense. I would much rather have him over guys that are ranked above him. Khalil Herbert, Mostert, honestly, Singletary, I'm concerned about. I was liking his production, but with Nyheim Hines in town now, he was kind of taking that step up a little bit because of his work in the pass game, and I expect Nyheim Hines to take that away. Kareem Hunt hasn't really been the Kareem Hunt of the past couple of years. Michael Carter, heck, I know this might be a hot take, but I would personally rather have Jeff Wilson than Montgomery because that I wouldn't trade straight up. Let's be clear about that. But David, Jeff Wilson and another smaller piece for David Montgomery might be something you could pull off, and it might pay off in the long term.
Man, I think I'm not quite making that move. I'll hold on to David Montgomery. They're both in split backfields, right? And I'll take the one that I feel a little bit more confident in the job that he's holding on to.
Oh, Craig was tripping. So can you trust JL, Simon, and Jay in fantasy advice? Fantasy football 2022. Anybody else seeing that as the title?
Can you?
I don't know. I don't see it.
No, I'm saying, can you trust us?
Oh, yeah.
I think Craig
That's
is
questionable.
being a funny guy, but we got to answer this question. I think you can trust 2 of the 3, and we're not going to tell you which 2.
You have to figure it out.
It's like that riddle with one of us always tells the truth and one of us always tells a lie, and you have to figure it out just by asking us questions. It's the classic riddle.
Classic.
Hal said trust is a strong word.
Trust. That is the answer. That's the answer right there. Keenan Allen really dropped too, and I know he's been battling injury, but I mean, he's in tier 7, 13.5 points. If you could trade AJ Dillon for Keenan Allen, I mean, you make that move 10 times out of 10.
He dropped by more than half, right? Because his trade value right now, 13.5, like you said, he dropped 14.5 trade value points from last week to this week. That's a massive drop.
That's the sound of everybody at once.
Just saying, I'm done.
I'm done.
Yeah,
giving
that's
up.
really
You know
what
I
it
mean?
is.
They
Yeah.
were holding on like, oh, he's going to be back this week. He's going to be back this week. And there was something psychologically where in mass, everyone decided that's it. I've had enough. And they all said, I'm moving on. Like Keenan Allen, you haven't done enough for me lately. You keep on saying you're going to come back and then you're not on the field. So they're moving on. I think this is probably a mistake to have him drop that low. Jay, like to your point, like if you can trade some of these pieces around him in the trade value chart for Keenan Allen, he's going to come back and be the one in this offense with Mike Williams still out. Josh Palmer's not going to be the one here. So I think maybe this is a time to go move for some Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Zot in here asking, it says trade question. Would you take Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, Zach Ertz, and Bills defense for Travis Kelce and Christian Kirk? Am I giving up too much? My running backs are Damian Pierce and Austin Eckler. What do you guys think?
Jamal Williams, Swift, Ertz, and Bills defense for Travis Kelce and Christian Kirk.
That's a big one.
That is a big one.
I think I'd be taking this trade. Swift and Jamal Williams are pretty valuable as a pair. Far more valuable, I'd say, even than Christian Kirk. I guess
yeah, but you're not going to start both guys, though.
You could. You absolutely could.
Yeah, but
if you have done that so far this season, it would have been working out splendidly for you, Jay. And it's been pretty clear when one is going to be good and when one hasn't. Like DeAndre's just been annoying, but most of the time it's been pretty clear he's out.
And I do think both are startable. I think they are both startable guys. I think you can start them on the same team together. They both have individual roles. Maybe it caps your upside a little bit, but both of these guys have been performing whenever they're on the field. I understand maybe it caps your upside a little bit because they can't both score touchdowns at the same time.
I don't know that it does though, because like I haven't. I'll go confirm this later, but I'm sure if you add up their numbers, it's probably better than average of a lot of these other running backs that you'll be filling in during bye weeks.
Yeah, Jamal Williams is the RB10 on a points per game basis so far this year, and DeAndre Swift, while a little bit further behind, he's the RB21 on a points per game basis this year. Know what I mean?
Missing,
like if you're
missing a few games too.
Right, well, that's why I did points per game instead of doing his total. Like they are both one's an RB2 and one's an RB1 in points per game this season. I think you can start both of them fairly confident.
After I'm going to take a look, I'm interested to see, if they've ever had what their standings each week look when they both play, where they rank. So I'm gonna take a look at that.
Yeah, it says currently 6-3. Yeah, I think I'd just be sticking with your side of this. The Jamal Williams, Swift, Ertz, and Bills. I just keep that side.
I think they would be. He said, "Would you take Jamal Williams?" So whatever side of that, like if that's your side or you're getting that side, I'm taking the Jamal Williams, Swift, Ertz, and Bills defense side as well.
Yeah, me too.
I'd like the Kelce side myself, but
there you go.
Checks out. They said, "I'm currently 6-3. If that changes anything for you, they're 6-3. Does that change anything?"
Nope.
Not a single thing changed from that. I also see Hal in the chat saying, yay, Keenan Allen only. Have him on all of my teams. Not me taking Keenan Allen to my last place finish. He's just holding on. Hal is the one keeping that value alive. He's
digging those heels
on
in
a little
I respect
bit
that.
longer. Me too, Hal. Sometimes it feels good to just dig your heels in, right? And you do it in situations where it's okay, because sometimes it's not okay to dig your heels in. Pick your mound and stand on it.
Is there anybody on this trade chart you guys are interested in looking at, trying to trade for? Somebody that sticks out?
No, not a single person. Next question.
That's fair.
I'm just kidding. No. We mentioned it. Josh Jacobs was the one that jumped out to me the most. But there definitely are other players. And I think Jeff Wilson is a great one because his value has risen, but it's not quite there. Guys, everyone who hung out with us this morning, I want to thank you so much for coming in and listening to the Front Yard Fantasy Morning Show here on Better Sports Network. We will be back tomorrow morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern time with more of the same, but with some different news, different topics, all different words. So until then, though, you can stick around here on the Better Sports Network app for a full day of awesome programming. We got Moose and Keith up next, Lunch Money presented by Fantasy Guru right after that, then Corey Nando and Friends after that as well. That's going to be it for us this morning, though. John, Luke, Jay, pleasure hanging out with you guys this morning. And everyone in the chat, thanks so much for joining us.
Always.
We will see all of you tomorrow. Adios,
Pleasure.
everyone.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.